Welcome, dear listeners. I'm Jonathan Carlin.
And I'm Benjamin Carlin.
And we invite you to join us through the Griffin Door, your one-way ticket to the enchanting world of Harry Potter. So grab your wands and dust off your broomsticks and join us as we unlock the mysteries behind Prisoner of Azkaban, Chapter 1, Owl Post.
Oh, little change up there on the intro.
A little bit. I considered going back to secrets, but I was like, you know what? We may as well just, change it up for each book.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I love it. Although we're going to get to like book 7 and be like, okay, now we need to go to synonyms.com.
I know. Like, how many synonyms are there for secrets or mysteries or whatever? Yeah.
Yes. The issue we ran into immediately after book 1 was we were using secrets, and then it was Chamber of Secrets. And it was like, well, that sounds wrong.
Yeah, I can't say the secrets in the Chamber of Secrets. I mean, that's too much of the same word.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So elephant in the room.
Elephant in the room is that you may notice, if you're watching us, that we are not live from Boston as we should be. Now.
Yeah, like if you look across the top of my book, it says on chapter 1, page 1, it says live in Boston, which did in fact happen.
It did happen. We have just, as we're recording this, we have finished the first leg of our Through the Griffin tour. We've done the first 3 chapters in Boston, New York, and Philly. And we got back. We were so excited. It was so amazing. Like, meeting everyone out there was great. And we were like, not only that, we've got all 3 episodes filmed.
I know.
And we have gotten back, and we have the video from Boston, but they have not sent us the audio, or else the audio on the video just isn't there. Ethan has been like dissecting and deconstructing that file for like over a day, and we cannot extract anything from it.
Any audible sound.
Let me tell you, we have been blowing them up. And if and when we do get the audio from the Boston show, we will upload that as well.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
But in the meantime, we're like, we need to upload an episode for the listeners, because we're going to get to chapter 2 where they won't have anything.
Exactly.
I know.
Yep.
So sadly, this episode is not the live recording from Boston. I am repping a Boston sweatshirt. Proof that we were there. It was so much fun. We went to Fenway. We went to TD Gardens, which Celtics up 2-0 right now. Whatever. No big deal.
There you go. Yeah. Beautiful. For the people listening, like 2027.
I know.
Like, 2-0 when?
2-0 when? What do you mean when? When the next dynasty started.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so no, I'm super excited to dive in, because of all the times for this particular occasion to happen, it was chapter 1. Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes.
Really just a delightful chapter for us to kind of delve into here as we launch into a new book. As per always, or at the very least still, I think by order of the Phoenix, the like first chapter information dump, like, hey, just in case you randomly decided to pick up book 3 and start there.
Right, or in case you only read Chamber of Secrets once, and it's been a year and a half before the next book came out.
Yes, yeah. So there's a lot of, I was worried, like, when I was like, oh, this will be so fun. We're going to start Prisoner of Azkaban with our live shows. It's going to be so cool. And then like, I'm like reading the chapter, like, in the van as we're like driving around on like the way to the venue and stuff. And I'm like, oh goodness. Okay. We're recapping a fair bit of information.
It's hopefully, a recap chapter.
Hopefully we have a show.
Yeah, totally. But don't worry. We totally did. Boston was great. It was a blast. I'm so looking forward to DC later this week.
I know it's going to be so much fun. Yep.
Going to be great.
Anyway, live shows, super fun. Thank you guys for coming out. But without any further ado, let's dive on in.
Let's dive on into Owl, or even as we are on a new book. We can talk about the cover art.
Oh, we can indeed.
We have the 20th anniversary American editions. Paperback, in case you're wondering.
Paperback, yeah. So the thing that immediately strikes me about this cover, because I do in fact love it, is that Harry is not on it.
Yeah, well, I think that's his hand down there in the corner.
Okay, you're right. Yeah.
But you're right.
Good point.
Yeah, we're at book 3. We're like, Harry, get him off the cover. Don't need him anymore.
Right. Yeah, but like 25% of the page, we've got Hermione with her time turner. We got some really cool, like very scary looking Dementors in there. We got some snake skin.
I don't know what the snake skin is supposed to be for.
I was literally I was saying that as if like if this was like an obvious obvious, like, but I think I'm just hailing back to Chamber of Secrets, which also kind of had this like snakeskin woven through. So maybe that's just general presence.
I know, it's just sort of like, Voldemort's not there, but he's sort of like, he's like always present.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you can see Sirius Black on there. I would say a lot of times I don't like on Prisoner covers when they show the Patronus as like the thing, because it feels spoilery. But because Harry's not on it, and because you don't like necessarily even know that Patronuses take animal forms until the very end, I don't think it is spoilery.
That's a good point. And maybe that's the reason that Harry's been excluded from this particular cover. Because, you're right. It's like there's a hand reaching out and there's a stag clearly front and center. I mean, it's like where your eyes go when you look at the cover there. But no Harry. So maybe that's the reason, because it's like, well, at some point in time, Harry's going to cast a really big
Patronus, and if you know that's there, you might be like, oh, well, I know what's coming.
I know what's coming. Yeah. Okay. We've reasoned through it.
It makes sense. I will say maybe the time turner is spoilery, because there's a bunch of like, what's Hermione doing in this book, and she's sort of like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, but you might not know it's a time turner.
That's
until
true.
You've heard the terms. So in the meantime, it's just like strange hourglass pendant thing.
Yeah, it might not even obviously be an hourglass if you don't already know.
That's a good point.
But of course we do, so I can't not see it.
It's spoiler for me, but I've read the book 50 times.
Exactly. So come on, everything's given away here.
Right.
Anyway, now we could jump into chapter 1 now, Owl Post, which I think the chapter art is fine for. It's just a bunch of owls delivering Harry his mail for his birthday.
Yeah, I like this one. There's like some twinkly stars, a nice little crescent moon up there.
It feels like a good, like, you're back in the magical world. Welcome back to Harry Potter. Here's some owls.
Right.
Yeah.
Owl Post is like a title that I almost feel like every book, it'd be like a little Easter egg. Like I could almost see a world where like every book has a chapter titled Owl Post.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah, wouldn't that have been neat?
Yes. Because there's always a time.
There's always a time. Like, in book 1, it feels like it would absolutely be like
the letters from no one.
The letters from no one. Yeah. It could be like Owl Post.
Could be called Owl Post.
What would you do in Chamber of Secrets? Like the Howler, maybe?
Oh yeah. You could do the Howler. That could be one.
Yep.
And then I think there's one in Order of the Phoenix called like Padfoot and Percy or something.
Oh,
yeah, that's where they get the letters from Padfoot and Percy.
Padfoot and Percy.
Yeah.
Is that the one where Percy's being like a total dweeb?
He's being like, Dolores Umbridge, a truly lovely lady here at the Ministry of Magic.
Bad take, Percy.
Take heed of her words, Harry.
Right.
Don't listen to that Dumbledore folk guy. He seems awful sketch.
Yeah. Okay.
Even though he made me head boy last year.
I've looked up to him for most of my life, but now I don't.
Yeah,
so that could be your Owl Post for that one. Anyway, so just a fun little re-intro back into the wizarding world. The opening line is kind of it sets up for like the closing line, so that's why I think it's worth putting some emphasis on it. But we've got Harry Potter was a highly unusual boy in many ways. For one thing, he hated the summer holidays more than any other time of year.
Yeah. So it's just reminding you that Harry is at Privet Drive again, and just a different kind of kid.
Just a different kind of kid, yeah. And again, I know I harp on it all the time. This is just again a re-emphasis on just how miserable life is at the Dursleys.
Yep.
And why I think that there's a lot of this is kind of used, and even I would say between chapters 1 in this book and chapter 2, where chapter 1 is like delightful and happy and upbeat and like you feel good about things, and then chapter 2, Aunt Marge arrives and it is just the worst.
Yeah, like this chapter, he's had like a maybe a boring, kind of a miserable couple of weeks, but like nothing out of the ordinary at this point.
Right.
And it's like, and then he gets these letters, and it's like, you know what? It's gonna be okay. These will get me to the end of the summer, and then it's like, wait, Aunt Marge is coming?
Oh no.
Oh no.
That will get me out of this place.
That will get me out of this place, possibly forever.
Possibly forever.
Yeah, but I like the sentence at the end of it. It's like it says he really wanted to do his homework, but he was forced to do it in secret in the dead of night. Oh, and also he happened to be a wizard. Yeah, just like let me just throw that in there. Nice little afterthought.
Right. Yeah. For those people who bought the book at the airport because they were like, I need something to read on this plane. They're like, oh, he's a wizard.
Oh, magic.
How about that? How about that? Yeah, but I think it's kind of fun because he's underneath the covers by flashlight, reading a large leather-bound book, A History of Magic by Bathilda Bagshot. I just think that's kind of fun because it's like he's reading a book that was written by his own former neighbor.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I know.
it's fascinating
If
to think
only.
like if he had never left Godric's Hollow, it's like, is there a world where he like would be doing his summer? I mean, he'd probably be much more unwilling to be doing his summer homework, but he could like literally go over to the bag shots and just have been like, hey, can you help me?
I suspect this particular brand of homework would be super easy because you have to imagine then like Harry just grows up with 10 years of just like, Auntie Bathilda coming over.
Yeah,
and,
right,
just
right.
like spinning him stories and stuff.
He's just like a pro.
He's just like a pro. It feels like it'd just sort of like be effortless kind of thing. Because like it was always effortless for James to do all of his homework and stuff.
That's true.
That's
true.
Like just like, oh yeah, knocked it out, easy, no big deal. I do. Okay, so on that note though, even though he's reading a history of magic, which I think it's funny that he's going into his third year and using his same year one textbook.
Yeah, right. Like this, when it comes to wizarding texts, you almost have to like wonder if they're just like they're so dense.
Yeah.
Like it would almost be like possessing like a dictionary. It's like you're not reading all of it. It's just sort of like,
I mean, I don't think I read all of any textbook I ever owned.
You know what?
Yeah.
Good point.
You know what? It occurs to me that maybe that's what you're supposed to have done by the end of the year, but
but not me.
not me.
Not me. There was my worst part about reading textbooks in high school was just literally that it'd like go home and read chapter 1, and so I would stare and read every word inside of my head and comprehend none of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what would happen to
Yeah.
me. It was just like it's so drab and so not interesting. I
Right.
would say in college I was a little better about it. I was like,
Well, you're a little more tuned in.
You're a little more tuned in. You spent money on these books,
Right. Yeah. But like when it comes to like wizarding text, it's like, well, this just seems like fun. I just
I
want to
know,
know.
right?
I want to know more.
I know.
Yeah.
But okay, so it seems like Harry would be working on homework for History of Magic based on the fact that that's the book, A History of Magic.
Right.
But we all know that class is taught by the world's most boring professor, Professor Binns, and like the title of the essay or the topic is which burning in the 14th century was completely pointless. Discuss. Like it's too whimsical and fun to be like Binns,
Right. Yes. So whose class is this actually for if
Right.
it's not going to be Professor Binns?
Right, because I think I'm going to throw it out there. I think it is a charms essay.
You think Flitwick?
Instead, because it is more about the charms that make it pointless.
Oh yeah, good point.
right,
That's a
yes,
good point. Yes,
right.
because that's like so. What we'll find out like in the next page is that they cast the witch or wizard would perform a basic flame freezing charm and then
Yes.
pretend to shriek with pain while enjoying a gentle tickling sensation.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So it's a charms thing.
It's a charms thing, I think,
Right.
and it's kind of like here's a historical application of this charm,
Right.
And like maybe when it was used the most, and this is the kind of that feels like if you're teaching charms, maybe you'd want to add some context behind like why the spell came into usage and stuff.
That does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like it's not just learning the spell itself. It's like learning the application and when and where it could be useful.
Yeah. And like
that makes sense.
Flitwick's definitely more whimsical than Binns.
Yeah. Well, he most certainly is.
Absolutely.
What does Lockhart call him? A sly dog?
The sly dog. Look, man, how much can we bring up Lockhart in not Chamber of Secrets?
I know, yeah.
Is the question.
New objective.
New
for prisoner.
objective. Yeah.
Yep.
Obviously going to be doing that. I do like, so we get a little blurb from the book. I think this is just funny. The first sentence reads, non-magic people, more commonly known as muggles, were particularly afraid of magic in medieval times, but not very good at recognizing it. It's just like, that is like it's very slyly done, but that sentence, like more commonly known as muggles, like Bathilda Bagshot would not be including that identifier to a wizard reader this deep into her textbook.
Right. Yeah. At bare minimum, even if it is a rather thick text, Harry is now going into his third year. So
Yeah.
maybe on page 1, you see this fragment of text where it's like,
Right.
it's like maybe if you've only ever lived in the wizarding world and you've never interacted with non-magical people, possibly it's a term that you need to be like introduced to, but not this far.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely
yeah,
not. So this is definitely there for us, the reader, not Harry, the reader.
Yes.
But
Yep. I agree with that.
Nonetheless, but what I also think is really interesting about this particular passage here is that they're talking about, we know that the essay takes place or is supposed to be discussing the 14th century, so the 1300s. And it's saying the witch or wizard would perform a basic flame freezing charm and then pretend to shriek with pain. So what's interesting though is that like witches and wizards need not fear this, but we know Hogwarts was founded 1,000 years ago. So at this point, Hogwarts would have been around for a while.
Right.
So this like paragraph is sort of like, look, it's working. Like the knowledge is starting to spread to the magical community. Like whatever it was founded for, like now people are educated now.
Right.
You know?
Yes. Yeah. So now it's like less of a struggle. But
right.
you know, the other thing that I think is kind of fascinating about it as well is like, as per always, we always want like additional context about like our founders. And this
of
is
course
still,
we do.
You know, taking place a few hundred years after their particular time. But this medieval like belief system about the wizarding populace by the non-magical populace during this particular era, I think is a great amount of like cannon fodder for what the Founder Saga is going to be all about, or what it would be all about, which is like the struggle that they are dealing with by sort of like being communityless, which it sounds like really like what Hogwarts was genuinely doing was creating sort of the underground that the wizarding world exists in to the current day.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I mean, they're like laying the groundwork for like, y'all, it's starting to become a problem, these witch burnings and whatnot, and we don't know, like, people don't know how to do this particular charm.
Right.
We need a place for them to go to learn.
Right. It's like we have these powers, but no one really knows how to use them. Like it's just what you can figure out on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah. Enter founders traveling around the countryside, adventuring from town to town, saving lives and doing stuff and learning skills from people who figured stuff out, but collecting it in one spot and then founding a castle where everyone can feel safe.
Exactly.
It's
almost like you've given this a huge amount of thought.
Just a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Sounds super fun. That's
right.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. But I also tend to imagine that this is like what Salazar Slytherin's actual beef with the non-magical population is.
Yeah.
It's not that he actively discriminates against them so much as he is more like they want to kill us.
Right, I know.
It's like,
it sounds like, because you're 1,000 years in the future and you're like, what a bad take. And it's like, well, it's not necessarily like, I think pure blood wizards are better than half-blood wizards. It's just that when the Muggles know what we are, they kill us.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should maybe mix with them as much.
Right.
It's a very Magneto, Professor Xavier
I see,
approach.
from X-Men.
X-Men's like, no, we should create harmony between these people. And Slytherin's like, that's not going to work.
at least maybe not yet. Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But you could see, I mean, that's basically exactly the same thing that's going on here.
So kind of big premise alert going on there.
Yeah.
We also get a little bit of trivia because the witch that is the prime example that is given in this particular like a piece of text that we get is Wendelin the Weird.
Wendelin the Weird, yes.
Which is definitely like one of those names that I'm going to do my absolute darndest. This feels like a great one to like ask people like future times you see us in the future, quiz us on, be like, hey, do you remember who the witch was? And how many times was she burned? Like, but actually, even that almost trick question. Oh, almost, yeah, because it says
47 here.
Okay.
But if you were to get like a chocolate frog card in like a video game, it would say 14.
Oh.
I know. So it's like, I don't know if there was just like a typo or something. I'm going to go with 47 as the more canonical answer.
I feel like if you can open up your books app and search Wendelin the Weird and prove to the person that the number 47 is right there, that needs
that pretty much,
I think that's like basically like, okay.
Yeah.
Lawyered
Pottered 47 times.
Yeah, love it.
There you go. Kablamp. There you go. That's Wendelin the Weird. But then we get back down to some description of the Dursleys. They were Muggles. They had a very medieval attitude toward magic. So, which I think is funny because you're like immediately putting that comparison to use from like a paragraph ago.
Yes. And this is like one of those moments though where I like to think that the Dursleys themselves are just more like they are archaic, and that the rest of the non-magical population has not subscribed to this medieval attitude in the same capacity. It's like the Dursleys are really the just
they're never really described as having other Muggle friends.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either. Yeah, it's like it's almost like they can't see the writing on the wall because like they are trying so hard to be like normal, which you'd think would include being like friendly
Yes.
with other people. Like, you know, if they're so dedicated to this like extremely normal looking life, like so like if it was like normal people have friends, you know, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
typically.
Right. Well,
like
the Masons came over that one time.
well, that was a work thing.
I think they're probably
they just
not
wanted to
coming
go that vacation home.
yeah, in Majorca.
Yeah, in Mallorca. Otherwise, apparently, all they know was Marge. I know.
Not a good person to know.
Not a good person to know.
Yeah.
Or maybe a Colonel Phelpster.
Well, there's that.
There is that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just don't seem like delightful company is basically
Yeah.
my general take on the situation.
Right. So then, let's see. We have... it says, these days they lived in terror of anyone finding out that Harry had spent most of the last 2 years at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, which, like, okay, fine. But their solution is to tell people that he is going to St. Brutus's Secure Center for Criminally Incurable Boys. Is that right?
I think
Did
you
I get it
got
right?
it.
Okay, I'm like,
that's another piece of trivia that I will never get
I
correct.
know. It is
Yeah.
such a long mouthful of a title. But, like, my beef with this solution on the Dursleys part is that, like, how is that better?
I know. Yeah, it's like you're like describing it to your friends apparently if they have them.
Yeah.
And it's like where do they go to school? And it's like art. Yeah. Okay. Because they're definitely walking away from that conversation being like, those Dursleys, such good caregivers
Such
to
good people.
their orphan nephew.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard to know whether or not it's like a made-up place in the book. Like, it obviously doesn't exist in real life.
Right.
But it's
right.
like, did they make it up in the story? Or, like, you know, or...
Right.
Or is it
So-
like, or is it canonically a real place?
It's a good question. I mean, I guess we'd be in the 90s, so like even if like they tell Marge about it, it's not like she's gonna like Google it, you know, like with her smartphone.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, yeah, I'm looking it up. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it could be. It'd be easy to, like, just fake it.
It's easier to lie.
It's easier to lie in the 90s, you know? Right? Yeah.
It's harder to fact check.
I feels made up to me because if they're Secure Center for Criminally Incurable Boys, like if they're like, it's a dumb name because incurable means like there's nothing we can do.
right. It's like, so what is
Why
the
would you send them there?
objective?
Yeah. What's the
What are we
objective?
hoping? What are we
Yeah.
hoping is the outcome here?
Right.
No, it's an extremely good point.
Yeah. Anyway, here we
Yeah.
go.
So anyway, then as we move forward, we find out that the Dursleys have taken all of Harry's spellbooks, wand, cauldron, and broomstick, and locked them in the cupboard under the stairs where Harry used to live. But fortunately, Harry was able to, while the Dursleys were out showing off their brand new car in very loud voices.
Very
the
loud
rest of
voices,
the
yeah.
street would notice. Harry was able to creep downstairs and pick the lock on the cupboard under the stairs. I love this little detail though because it's just like a neat little throwback because obviously you know that Harry has his book, so it's like he was able to get them and he can't use magic because his wand would be inside of the cupboard, and so like there's no way to do that. But the big thing that happened last year is that when Fred and George come by, they themselves have learned how to pick locks.
Yes.
And it's sort of like they talk about like, you know, how it's a useful skill or whatever. So I sort of love the idea that Fred and George in like the Gryffindor common room are giving like little seminars.
Little lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like lock picking.
Lock picking.
Come tune in at 7. And,
Exactly.
you know, so
Do
it's
you
like,
live with Muggle parents?
right. Well, we can help.
We can help.
It seems like the type of activity where they would charge like a Knut for the class or something.
Right.
You know, this is how they're harvesting their 37 galleons that they can eventually
Very slowly.
You know, bet,
very slowly.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Bet to Ludo Bagman.
Yeah, right. There we go. And then it says, like, as long as Harry didn't leave spots of ink on the sheets, the Dursleys never need know he was studying magic by night. And it's like, to me, it's like, even if he didn't have homework, I feel like this would still be the best way to spend your time.
Yes.
Like, if you are removed, like, if all you have is your textbooks, like, if this was me, and all I had left from school for presumably 8 weeks was my textbooks, like, as boring as they might be, like, that I would read them all.
Oh, yes.
Like, I mean, what else do you have to do?
I know. Yeah, that's like the real thing is that, like, you know, studying wouldn't be so bad if there weren't just so many other really fun things to do.
Exactly.
You know, but it's like if that was the only form of entertainment, I'd be like, yeah, give me that book.
Yeah, I know. Come on, I can learn about magic.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's way better than literally anything in this house.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. But then we get the phone call from Ron, who tries to call the Dursleys, which is just great. I love the sentence. Most unluckily, it had been Uncle Vernon who answered the phone, because I'm like, who was was he hoping was going to answer who would be the lucky person to have answered the phone, you know?
I suppose just Harry.
Just Harry, which it doesn't feel like he'd be allowed to do that.
Maybe not,
Yeah.
out of fear of being like, hello, magical person speaking. Oh, darn it.
Oh, man. Harry!
I let it slip up again.
I just can't not say it, you know?
Just tip of the tongue all the
People
time.
hear me, yeah.
You know, I do love this because it's the way that the story is told. This is not a very common thing that happens, but it's almost like a cutscene inside of the story. So we basically get the setup that Ron, who comes from a wizarding family and doesn't know how to use the phone, calls. And then it cuts to Vernon Dursley speaking.
Yes. And then Ron just responding, hello! Hello, can you hear me? I want to talk to Harry Potter! And then I love that, unbeknownst to himself, like Ron, you know, he's on the other end. He has no idea how to do this. He's yelling into the receiver, like, should I yell? What do you think? Should I yell?
Right.
Will they be able to hear me?
I can almost just imagine like Arthur sitting at the phone next to him, like just delighted at this particular
like,
occasion.
bravo,
He's like,
bravo, Ronald.
yeah, he's like, do I yell? And like Arthur's like giving like a thumbs up, like, yeah,
do it. And then
we're so far away.
I know. Yeah, we're so far away. How could they possibly hear us? And then like Vernon yells back, like, who is this? And it's like on the other end, it's like, yeah, yelling is how you do it.
Yelling,
we got it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Loud and clear.
Louder back. Let's do it.
Yes.
So he like accidentally validates Ron's misuse of the telephone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ron Weasley, I am a friend of Harry's from school.
There we go.
Yeah.
I know that.
You can just imagine.
Yeah, a conversation doesn't go well, but I love how it ends where Vernon says, I don't know what school you're talking about. Never contact me again. Don't you come near my family. Because literally 1 year from now, Arthur and Ron and Fred and George are going to come bursting out of the fireplace. So you said don't come near. We're coming right in.
Right inside.
Very
Directly
intrusive.
we have connected your very non-magical home to the Flute Network.
I know. And like there is later in, I think, Half-Blood Prince, where Harry's like, why don't we just operate inside the house we're going to? And Dumbledore's like, well, that would be very poor manners, Harry.
Yes, yeah.
And it's like the Dursleys are like, you know, the Weasleys are like, what if we just don't even tell them we're connected into the Flute Network and barge in?
Right, yes. On some level, I mean, I'm not siding with them, but you can kind of see where the Dursleys might have some serious beef with the way that the Weasleys have, you know, like ripped, the bars from Harry's bedroom and a flying car and, you know.
I know. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, Molly and Arthur even say like we were going to go get him ourselves, and it's like they probably were going to do about the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even like that Dumbledore acknowledges that it would be such poor manners to just barge into someone's living room makes me feel like maybe Fred and George are getting a little more from Arthur than we ever realized.
Oh, maybe so.
Right?
Yeah.
He's like, this is gonna be hilarious.
It's gonna be fine.
We'll just hook it up. It's fine. Because even when they bring the car back, he's like, did you really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's just Arthur. Like, I think it's probably like his own enthusiasm towards the Muggle populace is so great that I'm sure he just assumes that the way that Muggles will feel is the same way.
Right.
And so it's
magic.
Just like, right. Yeah. Like, what a great opportunity.
Yeah.
To show each other our things and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Not so much. But so then after this particular phone call, it does say that Hermione Granger hadn't been in touch either. Harry suspected that Ron had warned Hermione not to call, which is a phone conversation that I would love to imagine where basically Ron gets off the phone with Vernon. He's like, that did not go well. And then immediately picks up the phone to call Hermione. He's like, Hermione, do not call.
Ron, why are you yelling?
Yeah.
I think I know what went wrong.
I think I get it now. I think I get it now.
Hermione's just like,
now we don't get to talk to Harry.
I know. And it still seems like Hermione could have. It sounds like Hermione hadn't been in touch either, which is like, even like Hermione hasn't sent a single owl in like 4 weeks, even before this.
Well,
I guess she doesn't have an owl. We're gonna learn.
She doesn't have an owl, and while Hedwig is allowed to go out at night, it kind of seems like there's like a little bit of like not to be used for wizard mail type of caveat to it. I think more than anything, this is just another one of those occasions where it's like it's better if Harry's isolated, because if he's just having a jolly good time on his own, you know, then Like,
Yeah.
you know, if he can just communicate with his friends, like the Dursleys, isn't that bad.
Right, yeah,
And
right.
The Dursleys has to be bad.
Right. Then studying is also out the window. It's just like, I'm just going to owl text my friends all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Owl text.
Exactly.
Hedwig is like, I am exhausted.
I am
You have
exhausted.
to send longer notes.
Yeah, longer notes.
Ron, what's up? Hedwig is like, no.
Nope. More than that.
You will include more information.
More than that.
Yeah.
Harold. That's not his name. There's also just this funny thing here where we're learning more about Harry's isolation. It says, so Harry had had no word from any of his wizarding friends for 5 long weeks. To which I'm like, Harry, how long does it take you to write these essays, man?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like, you've been up there for 5 weeks and you're still writing this history of magic essay? Or charms essay, I guess, maybe?
Almost certainly.
Like, dude, hurry up.
Yeah.
You have nothing else to do.
I know. It does seem like he'd be making truly tremendous progress on this particular endeavor.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but maybe it's just really difficult, or maybe they just had like tons of homework and he's just
Yeah.
now getting to this particular assignment.
Yeah. It also seems like, though, like, I don't know how they could be expecting an entire essay on how witch burning was completely pointless when it just sounds like the entire essay is the witch or wizard would perform a basic flame freezing charm. And
Yes. I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's like, what all else is there to say?
I know.
Although sometimes I had this issue with essays anyway, where
Yeah.
I'm just sort of like, if you've given me the premise for the essay, then what more do you need from me?
I know.
To prove it to you?
To prove it to you. That's basically what they're doing. I say this as if we often don't make theories where we could basically sum it up in like 1 or 2 sentences.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
You need a lot of context.
You do.
know?
You do. You got to
Yeah.
lay the groundwork.
I'll lay the groundwork.
Maybe I didn't learn how to write a research paper until we became adults and started making fan theories for a
Oh, I
living.
know. I know. I'm like, if I was in 9th grade again and they were like, write a research paper about Atlantis and why it could be real, I'd be like, oh, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'll have it to you in an hour.
Hold my butterbeer.
Hold my butterbeer. I can make up a ton of crap about Atlantis. Not make up, but
Research.
I can research a bunch of stuff on Wikipedia, which people are also, you can't sort. So, like, this sentence was missing from every English class I ever had. Like, you can't use Wikipedia as a source, but what you can do, what you should do, just scroll down to the bottom where they've cited their works and click on that.
Yes.
Because, like, that, using the works cited on Wikipedia has taught me more about works cited than the actual act of making them.
No, yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
It's like,
oh,
that's what's
that's why I
happening.
can believe this information. That makes sense. I get it.
Yes. It's like,
not just some annoying chore you're making me do at the end. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, here we are. Big realizations at
I
age
know.
34 and 36. Look at us go.
Poor works-cited education is all I'm saying.
Yes.
Anyway, let's get back on track here. Harry's been allowed to let Hedwig out, and let's see, we find out that Harry's birthday is happening now, and that he's been 13 for 1 hour, and he is, let's see, it says he never received a birthday card in his life, which year 3 is kind of starting to be like, wait, what?
I know. Yeah, it's almost like a fascinating thing to have realized while writing is probably true, because during year 1 there was no.
Well, the summer up to it, yeah, there still would have been nothing.
Yeah, like there would
Yeah.
have been. Yeah, so we are 3 books in, but at the beginning of the 3rd book. So obviously going into year 1, he didn't meet any new friends yet, so there was nobody to send him a card. Why would nobody? Go ahead.
Why would no one have done it the
In
last
chamber?
year?
Yeah.
Because Dobby's stopping them.
Oh, because Dobby's stopping him.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
So
yeah.
people are attempting to send
So
them. Yes.
presumably people sent him cards, he just never got them.
Right.
Which kind of then makes you realize like Dobby stopped all those letters and then still never gave them to Harry.
Yeah, come on, Dobby.
Come on, Dobby.
It's like,
It's for Harry Potter's own good, sir.
right. Hopefully nobody sent him like a really cool broom servicing kit that year.
I know, right? Like one of these gifts, Dobby's just like, oh, these are wonderful presents. Dobby's life at Malfoy Manor is much better. Probably not.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I doubt
Hard
it.
to improve
I
that
love the
life.
idea that Dobby just had like a small store of chocolate frogs for like a week.
Yeah. It's like, I like this plan.
Yeah. I'm just stealing mail all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Dobby.
Oh my goodness. I love how Harry is hoping Hedwig is going to come back. He just mentions that she was the only living creature in the house who didn't flinch at the sight of him. He's just like, just another reminder that like, can you imagine walking into every room and everyone's like, huh.
No, I honestly can't. Like, it seems like it is more effort, in my personal opinion, for the Dursleys to dislike Harry than it would just be to like him. because he is like also not like a very difficult person to communicate with. Like it's not like he's overly chatty or like wants to get all up in their business or something. Like it just seems like being amicable would be fine.
Right. Even just tolerating him, which it feels like that's like the lowest bar, and it feels like they're going out of their way to almost like not tolerate him.
Yes.
You know, like, you know, if you just let him be in the house, you don't even have to talk to him.
Right.
You know, but like you're right. Ignoring him would be easier than like reacting to him.
Yes. Right. And that's the thing too, is that it's like there's no part of me, because I think that they have like decided obviously on this prejudice rather than like actually feel it to their core. So like I don't think that they are like genuinely being like oh man, Harry walked into the room, that scared me.
Yeah.
Like it's like, no, I don't think so. I think you're doing it to be mean.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes you more energy to do this than it would
agree.
be to not do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
We get mentioned that a reminder about how Harry's parents died, not in a car crash.
Right.
But they were murdered by the most feared dark wizard for 100 years, Lord Voldemort, which makes me wonder, like, who was it before 100 years, you know?
I know, yeah, that does actually, like, lay some rather interesting groundwork for, like a saga that takes place in the, like, 19th century.
Yeah.
Like, maybe like a Percival Dumbledore type of situation, because it seems like, you know, he seemed like an interesting character.
Yeah.
But we never, like, get, like, a lot of backstory to what's going on with him,
Yeah,
or
what's
like
going on there.
what his importance is and stuff.
Yeah,
So
don't know what's going on there. That is sort of the time frame when like Hogwarts Legacy is taking place.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think the villain in there is like one of the goblins, not like a wizard, or maybe that changes by the end of the story. I don't know.
Haven't gotten there yet.
Haven't gotten to the end yet, but that is the time frame.
Okay, yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
So maybe somebody considered that and they were like, hey, you know what? We should tell something in the 19th century.
Right there, bam,
there you
100
go.
years.
Perfect.
Yep.
But yeah, so then Harry is looking out at the starry sky for a sign of Hedwig, perhaps soaring back to him with a dead mouse dangling from her beak. Can you only imagine?
I know.
Nothing like having a dead mouse just fly right through your window.
And you're just like, boy, am I going to be the star of that bedroom. People are going to be so impressed. What?
But what then Harry does end up seeing is a strangely lopsided creature. It was flapping in Harry's direction. And what he is in fact seeing is 3 different owls, 2 of whom are holding up the third. They fly into the window where they then land on with a soft flump on Harry's bed.
That's exactly the right word. Great use of the word flump.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. I highlighted it and I was like, I can just imagine 3 owls crashing into a bed. And you know what sound it would make? A flump.
A flump, yeah, it would totally be a flump.
It's a flumpy kind of noise.
Right? He's not concerned that this is going to wake up the Dursleys. So he was like, earlier, he's like, the scratching of my quill. And I'm like, how loud? How loud is the scratching of quill?
How loud are
He's going to
quills?
wake someone up?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe just nab a pen.
Yeah, dude, I know. Come on. Like, they have pens. Pens have been invented in the Muggle world.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that would be like strange at all to like turn in an assignment that was written in pen rather than quill.
Right.
Like, what is this blue ink?
What is this, Potter?
I don't think so.
Why are the lines so thin and consistent?
And not bloody.
Why are they not bloody and smeared and written with a feather?
Yeah.
Anyway, pen, yeah, come on. I mean, unless there's something like about magic that stops pens from working, which would seem remarkable to me.
It would.
I don't know why they stick with quills.
Yeah, I know that seems like an odd one, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
that's okay.
I like it for the whimsy.
It is more, quills and ink bottles 1,000 times more whimsical. Yeah.
Yes. When I was a kid, there was almost nothing I wanted more than a fully functioning
Yeah, quill.
ink bottle and quill.
Ink bottle and quill.
I would have just written things.
Right, yeah.
Just for fun.
Think how many summer essays you'd be like, all right, time to just go do some writing.
Yeah, that's what's actually happening. Is on the flip side, instead of being a wizard who's writing in ballpoint pen, I'm a muggle who's writing in quill.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I like it.
But like this is what muggles did too for a while, and eventually they just moved on. Wizards were like, nah.
We're not adopting that.
We're not adopting that.
Newfangled writing instrument.
Nope.
The good news is, though, Harry has got some birthday gifts.
He does have some birthday gifts. Let's see. His first, I love this too, as he's unpacking Ron's package. He says, ripped off the brown paper and discovered a present wrapped in gold, which to me is like, wow. The Weasleys, they get like, because we're going to find out in the letter that they've just won the lottery, and Ron is just like, well, that's it. Time to buy golden wrapping paper.
I know. But I'm honestly, this to me does speak to just like how kind and nice the Weasleys are, that like, this is maybe not the type of thing that they've historically been able to potentially do.
Yeah.
And now, like, given the opportunity, it's immediately like, oh yeah, we're going gold.
We're going gold.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Yeah, I love the description of him opening too, just fingers trembling slightly, like as if like what if this isn't what I think it is or something. Like the nerves of opening your first ever birthday card at 13.
At 13,
Crazy.
I know, it's just absolutely, it's unbelievable to imagine this being a first time experience for somebody. But you would have to imagine it would just be absolutely momentous. But inside of the envelope, 2 pieces of paper fall out: a letter and a newspaper clipping. And
Yes.
this is like one of those details that it's like this newspaper clipping might be the most important single newspaper clipping in the entire story.
Yeah, I mean, it really, really might be. And it's like, it's very cleverly put in this chapter, which is otherwise like a recap chapter.
Yes.
And it's like, it's all, even him getting all of this is still just telling you more about like the Weasleys and stuff like that. So you really do not pay much mind to this. And like the main focus of it is, of course, just that the Weasleys won the lottery.
Yes.
So like you think that's what you're supposed to take away from this whole thing with the newspaper clipping and the picture. Like at no point are you like drawn to the fact that like Ron is holding Scabbers and that's going to be important.
Yes. Yeah.
Like not at all.
It does breeze right past you. It's
Yep.
it's not something that would stand out in any way, shape, or form. But the newspaper clipping, of course, says Ministry of Magic employee scoops grand prize. Arthur Weasley, head of the misuse of Muggle artifacts office at the Ministry of Magic, has won the annual Daily Prophet grand prize galleon draw. A delighted Mr. Weasley told the Daily Prophet, "We will be spending the gold on a summer holiday in Egypt, where our eldest son Bill works as a curse breaker for Gringotts Wizarding Bank." This is kind of like one of those funny ones where it's like, okay, so did they not? Does my memory serve me? Just last Christmas holiday, did they not go visit Bill in Egypt?
They did just go visit Bill in Egypt last Christmas.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were like, why not?
We'll just go back.
We'll go
Whole
back.
summer.
We'll bring the whole fam.
Yeah. I'm sure Bill has all the time in the world during his busy workday to entertain his family every day too.
For sure. But yeah, no, I just think that's funny that it's like, okay, and we're going back. We're going back to Egypt.
That feels like a like Dumbledore's big plan sort of like thing where it's like, oh yeah, like Dumbledore's like telling the Weasleys like, why don't you go ahead and get out of the country, because otherwise there's no reason Harry can't stay with you, but we need Harry to stay there because he's safer there because of the bond of blood. So
yes,
out you go.
Nope, that 100% feels like Dumbledore's big plan. It's kind of a situation where like Harry needs to be at the Dursleys, and there's no real good reason for him to not just be at the Weasleys.
Right.
So
they're out of the country.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. So
too bad.
So poor Weasleys are like, we just won a lot of money. We should probably put it in savings. And Dumbledore's like, or family vacay, all expenses paid trip, expenses paid by you with your brand new winnings.
Right. I know. Makes you wonder if he didn't arrange it in some capacity.
Right. Yes. Yes. Dumbledore like pulling the strings at the grand prize draw.
He's like, what happened last year at the school is this family, their daughter got abducted by Voldemort, so maybe we give them a little win. You know what I mean?
We throw them a bone.
We throw them a bone.
Or 700 of them.
Or 700 bones. And then don't worry, I'll just tell them to spend it.
Yeah.
Egypt.
Everything's working out fine.
Everything's going to work
boost
out
the
just
economy.
totally fine. Exactly. In Egypt.
In Egypt, yeah.
Right. But then, of course, included in the letter as well is the picture, Ron tall and gangling with his pet rat Scabbers, and so it begins.
And so it begins.
Man.
Yes. Like so much comes back to this particular image. Because
I know.
Even the fact that it like includes the little detail. The Weasley family will be spending a month in Egypt, returning for the start of the new school year at Hogwarts, where 5 of the Weasley children currently attend. So it's like the details that are being provided to Sirius Black, who is also seeing this exact same newspaper clipping, are like, it's like giving him everything he needs to know.
Right.
One of the interesting details that I do think about this, though, is have we at any point in time, because even now it doesn't specifically say that Scabbers is missing a finger.
Yeah.
Have we ever been told up till now that Scabbers is missing a finger?
I think we have been told it maybe back in Philosopher's Stone.
Okay.
Yeah, like when we first meet Scabbers.
That was one of those details where I was like, when does that actually come up as like a notable feature?
Okay, I guess we can go back and check that. I'm sure it comes up again in this.
Oh, it definitely comes up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's like the tell.
The tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Missing a finger.
Yeah.
Long life for a common garden rat.
Right.
Wouldn't you say?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Even that's like a little thing. Like Ron is later going to be at the Magical Menagerie, and they're like, you can't expect a common garden rat like this to live past 3 years. And it's like, But then why does it live past 12?
Right,
It's been alive for a real long time.
So it's like and that is like sirens should be going off. But that's the thing. It's like I desperately want to know if like we were reading this story now as an adult, and the lens that we do things, would that catch our eye?
I know.
It's like
I know
because it's like if like imagine a world where they're like releasing like one chapter at a time, and we're going through each chapter, and like we're doing this podcast like breaking stuff down, and be like, all right, you guys think it's interesting at all that Scabbers is a little bit old for a rat? Like, do we?
Right.
Does that?
Do we circle that? Yeah.
Yeah. Is that even highlighted, or is it just sort of like rat?
Just like rat. I mean,
maybe it's a mildly magical rat. Who knows?
I know. You'd probably just think it's a mildly magical rat, or it's like it's like, oh, sure, they may only normally live 5 years. This good for Ron. He's lived 12 years. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
he's just taking really
not
good care of
normal.
it. Yeah.
People only normally live to 80, but sometimes they live to like 110.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, it's not exactly like Scabbers is all that interesting. So
right.
It's not like you might just be like, yeah, he's alive, but he's not doing much.
Yeah.
So it's impressive, but also is it?
I know. Very, very. But either way, we're off to the races, and you have to wonder like, what if like the things that have to happen in order for like the plot to happen here are that one, the Weasleys have to win the lottery, already pretty hard.
Yeah.
2, then they have to decide to then whilst in Egypt, they have to get their photo taken as part of them winning the lottery.
Right.
Ron has to have decided to bring Scabbers to Egypt, and Scabbers has to be in the photo.
Right.
All of that has to happen. Then, on the same day, that particular paper has to be with Cornelius Fudge while he is visiting Azkaban.
Yes.
And he, Sirius Black has to just happen to ask him for his paper because he misses the crossword, and this is the one he gets.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So,
all of those things have to happen.
So if not for all of those incidents, Sirius Black never decides to break out.
Right. Exactly. But all those things happen.
All those things do happen.
Here we go.
Yep. What else do we learn here? Inside of Harry's or Ron's letter to Harry, so yeah, we get like the first of the happy birthday. He does say in regards to the phone call with the Dursleys, he says, "I asked Dad, and he reckons I shouldn't have shouted."
Yeah, you think?
This is the line where people are like, no, it says that he asked his dad about whether or not he should shouted, but it says he reckons I shouldn't have shouted, which to me comes with a certain amount of like Arthur being like, maybe we shouldn't have shouted.
Right.
Like it's almost like it's not like Arthur knows. He's just like, maybe we did do it wrong.
I know.
Yeah,
well, because they don't have a telephone. This was an event.
Right. Yeah.
They had to Ron didn't go into town by himself to do this phone call.
Someone brought him.
Mr. Weasley was there.
Oh yeah.
He's coaching him. We know Mr. Weasley.
Yes, I'm coaching. He was so excited.
I know.
What happened.
He's like, can I have a try afterwards? Can I talk? Ron, let me talk in the Felly tone.
yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's see here. We get a little bit more information. That's where we learn about the 700 galleons, which is another piece of trivia. It's also kind of unbelievable because most of it's gone on this trip, but they're going to buy me a new wand for next year.
God, I hope so.
I know. Poor Ron has definitely had the cards stacked against him for his first 2 years with the wand that he was given from his brother Charlie.
Yep.
That's like the one where it's like when you dig into like the wand lore, it's like that is like the worst wand in the world to be a hand-me-down.
Mm-hmm.
But also a 700 galleon trip, man. This must be like they must be really going for it.
I know, considering that, for me, when I'm considering traveling somewhere far away, the greatest barrier is often the plane tickets.
Yes.
The cost of travel itself, and that's just free in the wizarding world.
Okay, well, the cost of flu powder at least.
The flu powder or port key, you know?
Yeah.
Really not that much. So
Right.
I guess they have a month's worth of lodging, which could add up.
That would add up.
Yeah.
For how many people? Quite a few.
Yeah.
I could see it. And in a world even where you want to use the traditional exchange rate of I don't know, I can't remember how much it is, but approximate, is it $10? $7,000 for this kind of trip with this many people for a whole month.
That seems really reasonable.
At
all
some
of a sudden.
point, it's not to shake a fist at $7,000 for a vacation or anything like that. But you could start to math it out. But
right, yeah.
Anyway.
If that's indeed the exchange rate, which of course we've dived into many times, and it's very difficult to know.
It is.
It seems like it's a bad exchange rate, but wizards seem to have different values on gold and stuff. So
right,
the wizard economy is really hard to gauge because they can just do so much by magic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's Head's like where the Weasleys don't have a lot of money. It's like it's kind of like it doesn't seem to fully matter in the same way. It's like maybe they don't have like lavish like objects and stuff, but they also seem to be like rather like well cared for.
Right.
You know, like where it counts.
Where it counts.
Which I think is always the point.
That is definitely always the point. Yeah.
But let's see here. So then we will get like a little bit of information. Ron will suggest that they meet up in London to get the new wand and books before school starts. He says, don't let the muggles get you down. And then he also includes, P.S. Percy's head boy. He got the letter last week.
Yeah. Interesting. I guess that's sort of like a random, like, disjointed thing where, like, when Ron and Hermione get their prefect badges, like just comes with the Hogwarts letter.
Yes, in Order of the Phoenix.
In Order of the Phoenix, yeah. So it's like, did the head boy, like, I guess we don't know. We don't see either of them become head boy, but like, would it have come a week earlier or something? You know, Hard to say. Hard to say, but it seems like maybe. But Percy, as ever, just being just the most smug guy in the entire world, is already wearing his head boy badge in the summer.
Yeah.
You know, like, is he just wearing his school uniform too? You know.
Probably. And in addition to his fez.
Into his fez, yes.
Yeah. It really, for some reason, like prefect, I think fits with Percy in a way that totally makes sense to me. Head boy and head girl, for some reason, seem like they would come like with almost more of like a prom king and queen coolness.
Oh,
you know, it's
right.
like you're a good student, you're like a leader within, you know, the environment.
Mm-hmm.
But like prefects seem more like the like a rule enforcing, following, you know, keep justice at not at bay.
Not at bay. Keep justice at bay.
Keep justice at bay. That's Fred and
There
George.
will be no justice here.
None whatsoever. Keep mischief at bay.
Yeah,
is what I'm
I was
going to say.
keep justice at bay. That's like Fred and George's like motto.
Yes, yeah.
Keep justice at bay.
I like it. But yeah, head boy. It's almost, I'm almost like surprised that he's tapped for this one.
It does seem. He takes his prefect duties so seriously, but you're right. Like even like Lupin is a prefect, but then James is head boy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's got some swag.
Exactly. Got the swag. You know. Yeah.
Exactly.
Turns it around. You know.
Yep.
Maybe it's just like like doing the Weasleys another solid by Dumbledore though. Like, you know what? I like this Weasley family.
They're good peeps.
They're good people.
Yeah.
We'll just, you know, he's watching over Harry. We may as well have extra responsible people around Harry.
That's right. Right. Yep. But then we also get the present from Ron, which is another like little nod that like doesn't make sense until later. It says, Harry, this is a pocket sneakoscope. If there's someone untrustworthy around, it's supposed to light up and spin. Bill says it's rubbish sold for wizard tourists and isn't reliable because it kept lighting up at dinner last night, but he didn't realize Fred and George had put beetles in his soup.
Oh, goodness. Oh, good. It makes you so a couple things. One, it's actually lighting up because Scabbers is there.
Yes.
And Scabbers is the untrustworthy one. And, you know, like the beetles in the soup is just such great cover.
Yes, it is.
But like to me, it's also weird that the pocket sneakoscope doesn't like light up around like the Dursleys.
Oh, sure,
you know?
sure, yeah.
Like they don't seem like great people. But here's my reasoning: is that despite them not being great, they are like. You can trust them to be them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're not untrustworthy.
They're
just
dependably
reliably
them.
awful.
Yes, yes, you can trust them to be awful.
Yes, yeah,
right,
yeah.
exactly.
But it also means they're being quite honest in the way that they're being awful, which makes it worse.
It does make it worse. But like in the case of Peter as the rat, he is constantly lying about being a rat.
Yes,
you know?
yeah. And the sneakoscope knows.
Yeah, the sneakoscope is like on it. Yes.
And I even like the fact that there is like a little piece here, and this is the type of thing that could potentially stand out. Hopefully, maybe if we were super savvy. But Harry pulls it out, and it stands quite still. So that to me does it means something is going on. Like the Beatles, you know, certainly could confuse you a little bit because it would sort of be like, okay, maybe it's just Fred and George, and it seems like the type of thing Fred and George absolutely would
But
do.
you know what, Ben? You can trust them to do that kind of stuff.
You could trust them to do that.
You know, they're reliably untrustworthy.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's exactly
Not
it.
untrustworthy, but just like they're being, same thing. They're honest about it.
Right,
you know?
right. Yes.
They're not hiding it.
Right.
Yeah.
They're keeping justice
They're
at
just
bay.
keeping justice at bay. Exactly.
Oh man. So anyway, yep. I love that little nod though. That's always one like on the rereads where it's like, oh, I know what is happening.
I know. That's what, you definitely don't catch the first time around. You're not like, wait a minute, who else could it be spinning for? Is it the rat? You know?
It's probably the rat.
I know. If anything, you might have like leftover things for like, Percy. I wonder.
I know, yeah.
We were so curious last book. And now he's already being brought up as his head boy.
This is the first time it's occurring to me because in Hermione's letter, which we're going to get to right now, she also brings up in her PS, it says, P.S. Ron says Percy's been made head boy. I'll bet Percy's really pleased. Ron doesn't seem too happy about it.
Yeah.
And so like we just spent all of Chamber of Secrets having this just like over the top red herring situation with Percy, who's just actually got a girlfriend.
Right.
And so it's like, is the inclusion of the Percy head boy situation just sort of like, well, we got to announce this at some point in time, so it's got to go somewhere. Why not here?
Right.
Or is it supposed to be like, once again, like, could it be Percy? It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's not Percy. You will not trick me into thinking it's Percy.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though he eventually does become kind of a butt.
He does.
Yeah. Anyway, then in Hermione's letter, you get a fun little note about Hedwig, where she wasn't sure how she was going to send him his presents, but then Hedwig turned up. I think she wanted to make sure you got something for your birthday. It's just like, oh, Hedwig!
I know. That is so adorable.
It is!
Hedwig herself as Harry's first ever birthday present as well.
Yes.
Looking out for future birthday presents.
Yeah, it's like, how does she know when Harry's birthday is? Because she was the first present.
She was the first there. It's the day they met.
Oh, that makes it even better.
I know.
Gosh, it's like, that is such a happy thing for Hedwig.
Hedwig just like going above and beyond. And like we always know that Hedwig seems to be like a rather extraordinary owl. Like people comment on it all the time. But like the way in which she cares for Harry is so like, that's just the sweetest thing. Like
I know.
It wasn't until this read in particular that I have appreciated this sentiment so much.
I know. And even the way he gets Hedwig, you're like, why? Just way to go for Harry for just happening to get this like extra special owl. And it's like, it's not that weird because Hagrid, man of beasts, is the one who picks it out.
Yes.
So it's like, of course he was good at picking out the exceptional owl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
Hagrid's like, no, I know what to look for.
That one.
That one. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, really? Yes.
Yeah.
Because nobody else has a snowy owl either.
No one else does, yeah.
Yeah. Hagrid's definitely got an eye for it. So
He does.
Shout out to Hagrid.
Shout out to Hagrid. Hermione says, let's see, she said there's an interesting local history. She's in France spending some rare time with her parents. Yeah. Also, maybe it feels like another Dumbledore is like, you know what? We got to get Hermione out of the country too. Harry can't go visit her either.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep.
Can't have that.
Nope.
Send
Get
them
out of
away.
here.
Send
Go to
them
France. But she says there's some interesting local history of witchcraft here too. I've rewritten my whole history of magic essay to include some of the things I found out. So, one, there is at least a history of magic essay being written.
Yes.
Whether or not that's the witch burning or not.
Right. But it seems like whatever her local history is, unless she specifically brings it up as witch burning, it's like, well, how's that fitting in?
I know, exactly.
Different essay.
I know. Either it means that there were witch burnings in France, which doesn't seem like that would be the subject of their Hogwarts essay. Like, how is France history as relevant to Hogwarts? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still going with Flitwick on charms on that essay. It makes no difference at all. But
but it's a hill we're dying
But it
on.
is a hill I'm dying on. Here's the hill, is that Professor Binns isn't that whimsical.
He's not.
Okay?
He's just
not.
Yeah.
I won't be sold on it. But the interesting thing is that if she's learning about French magic history, it makes you wonder if she's learning about the Lestrange family in some capacity.
Yeah, which I mean, we know later when the Lestranges are brought up, it's not like Hermione is like locked and loaded with like any specific information, but like as of the Crimes of Grindelwald film, we would be aware that some of the notable French history would involve specifically the Lestrange family and Grindelwald's like temporary presence.
They're
there.
Clearly a big deal when you see their like mausoleum.
Yes,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I mean, it's massive. There's a whole pavilion in there. Like,
right.
Yeah, they're doing something in French history.
Right. So if you're learning about French wizarding history, their name is coming up.
Their name is coming up.
Hard
Almost for sure. And you could even see why it might not come up with like Bellatrix, because like she only marries into the family.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas everyone else is, which is also one of those things. It's like, it felt like they put like, what's her name? Lestrange in Fantastic Beasts, Lita Lestrange, in there to be like, oh, related to Bellatrix, but like also, no, she's not.
I know. Yeah, that's like one of those where it's like the very, very notable Lestrange character that we know is only Lestrange by marriage,
right,
and is otherwise a black.
Right, so it was a black.
Yeah. So it's like, well, okay.
Yep.
But yeah, so we get to the end of Hermione's letter, which I mean, this is just like my little team Hermione.
Yeah.
It does say love from Hermione.
Indeed.
It does.
Indeed.
Yeah. Love from
Hermione.
Love and from. Usually
Love
it's just one
from.
or the other.
One or the other.
This time we got both.
From Hermione. That'd be so informal. From me.
Yeah, but also like love Hermione would seem like more romantic, more forwardly.
Right.
Yeah.
This is like a nice way to thread the needle. as it
Exactly.
were. Yeah.
Exactly. But Hermione's good at
from Hermione.
just
She's the cleverest witch of their year, but
exactly.
Yeah.
She's got away with words.
Yeah, she knows the workings of these things.
Yeah. Speaking of being very clever, Harry assumes that whatever this heavy package is going to be a large book full of very difficult spells, which eventually actually sounds like the type of thing that Harry would very much appreciate.
Yeah.
Because he could certainly use them at some point in time. But instead is a sleek black leather case with a broomstick servicing kit inside.
Yes. Very thoughtful gift from Hermione.
It is a very thoughtful gift.
Yeah.
Wow, Hermione.
Yeah.
Is how.
That's
how
the
she-
Jim Dale reading. Yeah.
Yeah. Harry whispered, unzipping the case to look inside. I just love the description of all this stuff, even though I'm trying to imagine what it would be like to actually receive it, because it says there's a large jar of Fleetwood's high finish handle polish, which is something that I like the thought of in theory, but like how often are you using it?
Well, I don't know, it's sort of like snowboard, like waxing your skis or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, let's see how can we continue.
Okay.
A pair of gleaming silver tail twig clippers, which I imagine is like fingernail clippers.
I imagine that as well, but it must be like a little bit more robust. That reminds me of just like pulling weeds or something. It's like, oh, this one's gone astray. Let me just click that into place here.
Give it a little clip.
Keep it,
but of course,
yeah.
you can only clip so many of these things because there are only so many of them.
Well, sure, yeah, but I suppose it's that makes it sound like a clipped one is still better than a Helter Skelter one.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Good, excellent use of Helter Skelter.
Unless, of course, you're looking at the firebolt in the movie, in which case more Helter Skelter, more better.
Yeah.
Ben, don't get me.
I know.
I hate the way they portray the firebolt.
I think we have a whole chapter called the Firebolt.
Okay,
So,
well,
we
you know
can-
what?
we can-
It is not described in the book as it is showed in the movie.
Yeah, I understand.
And it
I
especially
understand.
doesn't have footrests.
Well, don't you worry, Jay. In chapter 11, you can just absolutely go.
I will.
off.
I'm going to get on my soapbox.
You can and should.
Broomsticks don't have footrests, Ben.
We look forward to it.
Okay.
It's going to be fun. Where was I going? Oh, then we have a tiny brass compass to clip onto your broom for long journeys.
Yep.
And a handbook of do-it-yourself broom care.
Yeah, which is like 3 pages, which says clip. Put wax on this part, clip those things. The compass goes here, moron.
Well, yeah, on some level, there's only so much that you can do to a
I
broomstick.
know, right? There we go.
Oh, man.
Oh boy, here we go. Just a quick reminder too that Harry was the youngest person in a century to be picked for one of the Hogwarts house teams. Of course, before that, it had to have been Dumbledore.
Had to be.
Had to be.
The
Yep.
timing is just too specific for
Yeah.
it not to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, Ben, whilst the firebolt is, of course, horribly portrayed in the movie, the Monster Book of Monsters that Harry is about to open from Hagrid is a great example of a time the movie did it better, I think.
I agree with you. The prop design for the Monster Book of Monsters kind of being like the little gremlin-y looking wolfish spider type thing.
Yeah.
Is otherwise described as let's see here. He tore off the top layer of paper and glimpsed something green and leathery.
Yeah.
But before he could unwrap it properly, the parcel gave a strange quiver, and whatever was inside snapped loudly as though it had jaws.
Yeah.
This is kind of a funny one to come from Hagrid, especially just on the heels of Chamber of Secrets, where Harry just interacted with a book that could think for itself.
I know.
And it's just like, not again.
Not again. I know. This book immediately seems like it has a mind of its own, which doesn't go with Mr. Weasley's instructions of like not trusting things you can't see where it keeps its brain. And like we literally just had a cursed book, and Hagrid was literally just the like suspect of
I know.
the man opening the chamber. It's like, Hagrid, come on, dude.
Hagrid's safety or relationship with safety is lacking.
It is lacking. Yeah, there's no doubt. It also seems like, despite him picking out a great owl for Harry, he does not have an owl of his own, which is kind of surprising. He's just using a school owl.
It does seem kind of odd.
Yeah.
But maybe he tends to the school owls and just thinks of them as his own.
I mean, that's probably true.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah. I bet that's
it. Still feels like he'd have his own personal delivery system.
I know. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scroot mail.
Scroot mail,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
he hasn't invented those yet.
I know. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point. But coming
Right.
soon.
Yeah. Let's see. Then he opens the book. I love how Hagrid just does not give him any additional information about the book at all. You know, it's just like completely out of context. Like, you might find this useful.
I know. This is classic Hagrid, though, who's of course excited about getting to tell one of his best friends in the wizarding world about his new teaching post, and is sort of like being oddly mysterious about it in a way that is not very helpful to Harry, who is trying to keep a low profile.
Right. Yes. Also, like, it is fun that the book like bites and stuff, but like if you're the writer of the book, like what on earth is the advantage of doing it this way?
I don't know.
You know, like, and what practical purpose does this serve?
I like to imagine that this is almost like the incontrollable nature of magic, where it's almost as if like by packing the kind of information that is in it like manifests itself into chompiness.
Yeah, I kind of like that explanation better. I also think it's funny that Hagrid makes them get this book, which I don't even think it ever talks about them reading, but like they've already got Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which is the first year course, which we know the textbooks last for years.
Right.
But like what were they using that book for before now when they actually have Care of Magical Creatures?
I know. This is another one of those really like kind of interesting questions where it's like 1,000 magical herbs and fungi could like just as easily be like a potions.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess it could be
guide.
multi-purpose.
Yeah, as herbology. So like maybe it's again one of those where it's like we're so used to having textbooks dedicated to specific classes, but if there's just like, you know, I mean, the wizarding population isn't absolutely massive, so maybe like knowledge has been kind of like distilled into, you know, like tomes of information that are reference guides for so many different applications.
I guess it could be for like Defense Against the Dark Arts in the early years.
That's true as well.
You're gonna like fight off an iguana or something.
An iguana, yeah, right. You never
that
know.
is mostly what Lupin ends up teaching about this year.
He does, yes. Like I mean, is it not the case that like Redcaps, Inky Punks, Grindylows are all in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, so
there you go.
Maybe that's a piece of what's going on, you know, as well. Yep. But anyway, there's kind of just like a really special line there because you know he reads the little letter from Hagrid that says, you know, happy birthday. I thought you might find this useful. Harry says it struck Harry as ominous that Harry thought a biting book would come in useful, but he put Hagrid's card up next to Ron and Hermione's, grinning more broadly than ever. Yes. It's just very sweet and sentimental.
I know. It's like Harry's finally having a good birthday for once ever.
For once ever.
It's fantastic. But then he has one last letter, which has another big old plot device in it, which is the one from Hogwarts, which includes the Hogsmeade permission form.
Yes.
And goodness me, does Harry have a time getting this thing signed?
I know. Yeah, this is like a through line throughout the entire story.
I know.
So it's definitely going to be the massive bargaining chip, and I suspect that like even going into chapter 2 and the arrival of Aunt Marge, this was almost like the basis for a scenario where Harry tries to be amicable at all, because otherwise he has, in my personal opinion, no need to be polite or kind to Aunt Marge, who is otherwise just going to berate him for an entire chapter. Mm-hmm. So it's like what we need to do is like set some groundwork here for a world where it's like okay, you know,
we'll try.
Yeah,
we'll try.
We gotta have a reason why Harry is willing to put in some effort.
Yeah. But I also just love the introduction of Hogsmeade at all in this book, where it's like the first 2 years, Harry has really just been stuck at the castle.
Right.
And it's like now he has a new place to go. Where like there's new horizons out there for us to explore.
Yes. And in the way that I think that this one's delivered, because sometimes this happens in the wizarding world, and we'll see it like with the Azkaban guards, which will be referred to as the Azkaban guards until they're referred to as Dementors, at which point they'll just be referred to as Dementors for the rest of forever.
Yeah.
With the Hogsmeade, I do feel like the way that it reads is like it says, Harry pulled out the Hogsmeade permission form and looked at it, no longer grinning. It would be wonderful to visit Hogsmeade on weekends. He knew it was an entirely wizarding village, and he had never set foot there. This to me sort of reads a little bit as if, like, even though it's never been mentioned in the past, it doesn't feel like Harry is learning about Hogsmeade for the first time. Like, kind of similar to like the Fred and George teaching lock picking lessons on the side.
Clearly it happened.
Yeah, this is just sort of something like where the upperclassmen, you know, on the weekends are like, yeah, we're going to Hogsmeade, you know, and it's like Harry's like, next year that'll be fun.
It kind of seems like even when they finally get to do it, they're like, "Ooh, there's a Hogsmeade visit this weekend." It's like it's surprising to me that they're not just allowed to go like every weekend.
I know, yeah, that does seem kind of unusual. It seems better for the Hogsmeade local economy to just have the students like funneling in. Like I know, like towns that are college towns are like barren wastelands during the summer when the students
know.
are out. So,
Yeah.
they certainly they hinge on that.
Yeah.
But of course, we also know the currency and the economics of the wizarding world are kind of goofy anyway.
Yeah, don't necessarily always make sense.
Yep.
But then let's see. I think it says he looks at the alarm clock. It's now 2 a.m. When this started, it was 1 a.m. So the act of opening these 3 envelopes took like an hour.
Yeah.
I think it's funny.
I like to think that he's just been savoring
He's
it.
just been savoring it. Yeah.
The other thing I like to think though is that like it's very nice that his friends sent gifts that arrived like just as it ticked over into birthday land.
Oh, I know.
But like if he was sleeping and his window was shut,
as he would be like any other night.
right? Yeah. What
Yeah.
was our flump?
Yeah.
Earlier would have been like an awfully loud 3 owls collide with a window clang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A real scrunch or something.
Yeah, a scrunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so this does basically get us to the closing sentiments of the chapter, which again kind of like reflect back to the opening sentiment there, which was that Harry Potter was a highly unusual boy in many ways, is how the chapter started, and here's how the chapter ends. Extremely unusual though he was at that moment, Harry Potter felt just like everyone else, glad for the first time in his life that it was his birthday.
Oh man, hits you right in the feels.
It really, really does. Like,
Yeah.
It's so hard to imagine, it's because birthdays for young kids are such special occasions. Like
I know.
I loved them so much. I looked forward to them from like my birthday's in October, and I would like in June. I'm like, Mom, can we start planning my birthday?
Yeah.
So it is just so sad to think that he got to 13 before he had like a proper birthday that
I know.
he was able to absorb.
Starting to hit the birthday circuit with my own kids here.
I know. Good
It's like
times.
all the times, yeah. But those kids are having such a blast. Like it's everyone's best day of the year.
Yes.
It's like, yep, not for Harry.
Not for Harry, I know.
Yep.
So anyway, gotta love that. But there we go, Jay. Do we have a review to close out the episode with?
We do, from Jeff S., who says, absolutely loving this. I was so happy to hear when you announced this podcast. I would always find the analysis of the text to be intriguing and insightful, especially when able to identify things that will come up later in the books you don't realize until rereading the series. My question is about the house point counting throughout the year. How do you think Dumbledore knows the exact events that happened at the Potters the night they are killed? There is no live account of what happened since Harry was just a baby with no memory. How does he know Lily stood in the way of Voldemort and acted on love? How does he know Harry's lightning scars from the killing curse since before Harry there wasn't a single account of someone surviving it? Sorry, there was
Ooh.
actually nothing about the house points there. But anyway,
Oh, that's
how
so
does
funny.
Dumbledore know about what happened in the house?
Okay.
Is the main question.
So I think it's a really good question, because you're right. Like essentially what's happening is like we have some measure of an account of how this particular evening went down, despite the fact that almost everything that happened inside of the house on this particular evening was atypical. Like it was unusual. It was not precedented.
Yeah.
To where it would be like, yes, of course, like priori incantatem, a thing I've seen before.
Right.
So it's tricksy, and we know that Dumbledore is not even the first person to go, because it would be horrid to imagine a world where Dumbledore like shows up and leaves baby Harry there for Hagrid to collect.
To bring back to him.
However, the instinctive response that I would have would kind of like fast forward us to like Half-Blood Prince and the cave, where like Dumbledore just sort of is able to like suss out where the entrance is, and that like a blood sacrifice is required in order to enter the cave.
Yeah.
And the description that he gives us is that like dark magic always leaves, or magic always leaves a trace, and especially dark magic.
Yeah.
And so what I almost imagine happens here is that Dumbledore leaves baby Harry on the Dursleys' doorstep, and at that point in time, now that Harry has safely been delivered, goes to examine the wreckage.
Yeah.
And whilst
Couldn't
there,
like suss it out.
yeah, and he's almost able to like perform some measure of like a recall or something, or dig into the dark magic trace that was like left in the space in their home.
Right.
And like what I almost imagine is like an echo of the scene, sort of like
Plays out.
like he's
Right.
like almost like a green hue appears, and he's able to like witness, like maybe not like visually.
Well, the
but
other
like
thing is that we also know that Snape has like begged for Lily's life at this point.
True.
And asked Voldemort to spare her.
Yeah, that's a good.
So
yeah.
we know that Dumbledore can at least figure out that Lily might have been offered the chance to live and then chose to die.
Yes.
Like that's on there, and
like even when Voldemort returns, he references it like this is old magic.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that, Voldemort says, like, he mentions, like, sacrificial love and says, like, it is old magic. I should have remembered. I forgot. And it's like, oh, did you? That was dumb.
That was a silly little
That was a silly little whoopsie. I forgot about it. Who knew?
Yeah.
But the fact that it is ancient magic that you could have known about suggests that, like, it has happened before.
True.
Right? Like,
yes.
Not necessarily that someone has survived the killing curse, because I think Harry is, like, unique in that way, but there must be some other kind of, like, sacrificial protection that can be cast even outside of the killing curse or something.
Yeah. No, I follow your logic there. So it's like even because I mean that's a little bit of what's happening after the Battle of Hogwarts, where it's like, you know, there after Harry has died for everyone else, like none of the Death Eaters or Voldemort's spells can be like binding on the combatants of Hogwarts in any way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like their magic is like all kind of nullified if they intend harm on them.
Right.
Even if they're not just like casting like, you know, killing curse after killing curse.
Right. It's not just the killing curse. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it's possible that like someone died for someone else and then like other spells just didn't work against them. And
yes.
that person wasn't like tried to be killed or something.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. Yeah. So I think that probably you're right. Like there's a degree of like Dumbledore knowing that Snape would have asked for Lily's life to be spared, and knowing Lily and her kind of like noble nature, he may be able to just sort of like reverse engineer, being like, okay, well, the only way that Harry could have survived is if this very particular thing happened, and there's reason to believe why this very particular thing could have
because
happened.
Clearly something happened.
Right. Yes. Could be. Yeah. Yes, because clearly something happened. Like something unusual happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and he also, you know, solely knows the prophecy. So there's that additional.
Yeah. There's also the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the marking and then the scar.
Yeah, the scar. So it's like what could he have done? Like clearly he was there to try and kill him and failed. How many explanations could there be that would have left a scar in this way?
Right.
Given the fact that I know Lily might have been offered a chance to live. Sus. I know the answer.
Right. Yeah, it's like when you've ruled out all of the possible, you have to start considering the impossible. And if there are small exceptions, you know, as to how the impossible can happen,
right?
Then it's like there's probably not that much left,
right? Exactly.
In terms of explanation,
right? It's like however unlikely, that's all that's left. So it must be that.
It must be that.
Yeah.
So, but it's a great question otherwise, though,
is.
because I do think that's like an under-considered situation. Like Dumbledore is definitely this rather all-knowing entity. It feels at times within the wizarding world. He seems to be like privy to way more things than it ever seems like he should be. And sometimes I think we just take that at face value.
Yeah. Dumbledore knows because it's Dumbledore, and he just kind of knows everything.
Yeah, because
except for the things he doesn't, because plot reasons.
Because plot reasons.
Yeah.
He guesses.
Yeah, what are the other
good.
Horcruxes? Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe
they're probably these three things. Oh, they were. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We don't know all the. We need his works cited. Is what we need.
Yeah. Where's your works cited, Dumby?
Can you show your notes?
Yeah.
I want the research paper that is Tom Riddle's Horcruxes and where to find them.
Yeah. I guess he would just cite like Winky's memory.
Right. Yeah. Pensive.
Yeah. Pensive. Thing is so useful.
It's very useful.
Good.
A lot jam-packed with info.
Jam-packed, yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much as ever. I think that concludes this week's episode.
That concludes Chapter 1 Owl Post. Although, be on the lookout because we don't know yet if and when we get the audio from Boston. We might just re-upload a second version of this episode.
Right,
that hopefully you'll be able to enjoy.
Right.
And listen to the crowd from Boston. It was so much fun.
Hey, speaking of the crowd from Boston, we do have you have on your phone, do you not, like a small audio file we can play?
I do. You know what? We can play that right here. I think you're all gonna love it. It's a well-known audio clip.
It is. Ready and go. Wow. Thank you, Bostonians.
Thank you, Boston.
So sweet.
Oh, man. Anyway, that's going to do it for us today. Make sure you join us next week for Chapter 2, Aunt Marge's Big Mistake, Through the Griffin Door. Welcome, dear listeners. I'm Jonathan Carlin.
And I'm Benjamin Carlin.
And we invite you to join us through the Griffin Door, your one-way ticket to the enchanting world of Harry Potter. So grab your wands and dust off your broomsticks and join us as we unlock the mysteries behind Prisoner of Azkaban, Chapter 2, Aunt Marge's Big Mistake, live in New York! Woo! Woo!
Yes.
Oh, man. So excited to be here.
I'm so excited. I am so excited. And what a chapter
Dude.
that New York is going to get to endure alongside with us.
I know. Oh, my gosh. Just one of the worst characters, like, until Umbridge gets there.
I know.
You know?
And if I would dare say that if we had more time spent with Aunt Marge, she might be worse.
She could. She is every bit she's like the Death Eateriest muggle in the book. You know?
Yes, that's so well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she would be like leading Voldemort's regime.
Oh, there's no doubt.
If it was the other way around.
Right, yeah. She'd be right in there. If she were magic, I mean, one, she'd hate herself, but then like two, she would totally just be a Death Eater.
Yes. Oh yeah. Then everything would turn.
And then everything
once.
would turn. Then suddenly
Yeah.
magic people would be the best.
Right. Well, yeah. Naturally.
right.
Naturally. Yeah. Yeah. Her and Colonel Fubster.
Colonel Fubster. Dude, there's like we'll get to it later. There's like at least a minimal amount of theory fodder that Colonel Fubster is magical.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to
You've
it.
been holding back on me.
You know, we gotta save something for the podcast, Ben.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Yeah. So let's go ahead and dive on in.
Let's stop it. I mean, we can start with the chapter art, which if you guys don't remember, it is just Marge blowing up, going away. It is absolutely one of my favorite chapter arts because, I mean, just Marge getting her comeuppance is just so delicious. And
It's like a well-earned
it's
punishment.
like, oh, thank goodness something happened.
I know,
It's
I know.
not like you had to wait the whole book. It's just like, yes, right now. Good. Ugh.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We don't have to go through like a whole saga. Marge is not like the one who storms into the Shrieking Shack.
Yeah, no. She's still there. Potter. Yeah. Oh man, that would be terrible. All right, so let's see. Let's dive on in. So we started. It's just the morning after the night before, which, as a refresher for the people here, was Harry's birthday. He got 3 owls in the night. 2 letters from Ron and Hermione telling him that Percy was head boy. Relevant to this room.
Yes, yeah. The group of people here know why. What is like kind of mind-bending to me about this, though, is that the first chapter of this book, Owl Post, it's such a cozy, happy chapter for Harry because he's getting his first ever birthday gifts, and literally the last chapter ends with the sentence, "Glad for the first time in his life that it was his birthday."
Yeah. And
Turn
Billy walks
the page.
downstairs.
Yeah.
Aunt Marge is coming for a week. Like, oh no.
to which Harry just like immediately drops his spoon in his baked potato that he was probably having for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. It's baffling to me that there's a week-long visit planned with Aunt Marge and Harry is completely oblivious to it.
Yeah, the
You know?
Dursleys have, because again, last chapter, they're like out in the street bragging about their brand new car using like extra loud voices so that all the neighbors can hear. And yet they're apparently not bragging about the arrival of...
It's like they were like intentionally withholding it from Harry to be like, guess what? Can't prepare. Aunt Marge is coming. Happy, exactly.
Yeah, that's really what's going on. They're like, all right, when's
really
Harry's
planning
birthday?
it.
Let's plant it right there. This will be good.
Yeah, first of all, they don't even acknowledges that it's his birthday, but he even acknowledges that it is the worst birthday present they've ever gotten him, including Uncle Vernon's socks. So
Those socks do come in handy later, though, don't they?
They do, yeah.
Are those the ugly mustard socks that
Yeah.
he gives to Dudley? Mm-hmm. No, not Dudley. Dobby.
Dobby.
Yeah, can you imagine if he gave them to Dudley?
He gave it to Dudley. Just gives them back.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, but Dudley has a nice little. He's having an interesting summer where he's basically not moving at all. Spent most of the summer in the kitchen.
Yes.
Just watching TV, complaining about the length of the walk from the chair to the fridge. Just like, oh God, dude, come on.
So, yeah, they've added a brand new television in the kitchen because he's exhausted from walking from the living room.
Right. Yeah.
Is it not the case that there's like a broken TV in a bedroom in like Order of the Phoenix? Is this that TV? Do we think?
I don't know. Is it because like isn't there like a broken TV in Harry's new bedroom after he goes up there? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it.
How many broken TVs are in this house?
I don't know. Why are you keeping a broken TV?
Stunningly immaculate.
Yeah.
Except for the cupboard, which is full of spiders.
Light hoarding.
And Harry's bedroom,
Yeah.
which is full of broken TVs.
Right. Yeah. All right.
We got to put them somewhere.
Got to put them somewhere. You want to throw that out. Right away, though, we get to hear a report on the TV that the public is warned that Black is armed and extremely dangerous, and a special hotline has been sent up for any sighting of Black should he be seen and reported immediately. Which I think cleverly the name Sirius is left off this particular news report, because like if you were a really savvy reader, you might immediately be like, wait, Sirius Black, that was mentioned in the first chapter.
Yes, and that's like one of those where I could totally see it going either way, because at this point in the saga, if you're like on book 3, we don't know all the like the running gags that like this story will ultimately hold. So you could easily have committed to just saying Sirius Black in this situation.
Yeah.
But like an eagle-eyed reader would be like, wait a second, we know that name.
We know that name.
That is connected to Harry. Yeah.
Yeah. But as it is, it just sounds like it's a regular Muggle convict escape from prison, and that's all. So like I remember as a kid reading this, like hearing this part and being like, despite the book being called The Prisoner of Azkaban and this being an escaped prisoner, not connecting the dots immediately. Well, that's on the Muggle news. That doesn't count, right?
That's irrelevant.
Exactly. Not going to be important. That's just a great opportunity for Uncle Vernon to be mean to somebody.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. But hilariously, the way in which he is mean to him now that we've all read it 50 times collectively, is that he, like Uncle Vernon says, no need to tell us he's up to no good. Look at the state of him. The filthy layabout. Look at his hair. And then he immediately shoots a nasty look at Harry, whose untidy hair had always been a source of great annoyance to Uncle Vernon. And it's totally one of those details where it's like, these two people are connected.
I know. Not only that, it's like the tip-off immediately that Sirius is not a bad guy is Uncle Vernon saying, no need to tell us he's no good. It's like, it's like Uncle Vernon's not going to be right about anything, but you, for once, you believe him.
We're not going to take his assessment.
But because at this point, you don't know that it's a wizard, and at this point, you just think it is like a prisoner who has escaped.
Then as we, the report gets cut off, and Uncle Vernon gets mad again and says, lunatic could be coming up the street right now. And I highlighted that because I was like, LOL, he is coming up the street right now.
He's on his way,
literally on the street.
Not just up the street, to your house if he can.
Right. He's trying to come for you.
Yeah, exactly. He's coming. He's 7 days away, my man. Oh, boy. Too bad. Can you imagine if he actually showed up at the house, too?
Oh my gosh,
great.
I know.
Yeah.
That would have been a game changer.
Well, so Uncle Vernon makes some terrible remark about how that hanging's the only way to deal with these people, which is like, okay, great.
I just wrote,
we get
geez.
it. You're bad. You suck. Okay. But it's like, when you think about it, what Sirius is in prison for is apparently murdering 13 people.
Yes.
It's almost like it is crazy to me that Wizarding Prison doesn't like they have this terrible prison with the Dementors, but they don't seem to have any like death penalty.
Yeah, no, they don't. They don't
at all.
It's kind of surprising to me that they arm the Dementors with the intent of like performing the kiss.
Yeah,
and it's almost like I think the biggest thing is that it's surprising that they didn't just do that from the start.
Yeah, from the start. Like on the one, but also the ceiling, the floor is very high for like punishment. Like Hagrid is like sent there in year 2 for maybe opening the chamber, and they're like straight to Azkaban. Straight to Azkaban. Straight to jail. Same as Bellatrix Lestrange. You right now. Same. Equal punishment. Like why? You guys need like tiers of punishment or something here. Yeah. Why is Bellatrix? Yeah, okay.
The judicial system and all the other systems in the wizarding world could maybe use a little bit of light tinkering.
Maybe. Yeah. All right, let's see. So then we're going to go get we're going to go get Marge from the train. Oh, and Harry starts to recount some of the ways in which Aunt Marge has tortured him in the past by whacking him around the shins with her walking stick. It's terrible. To stop him from beating Dudley at musical statues, which just reminded me of like Bluey, because that's how the show starts.
Do they play musical statues?
That's how the show starts. The opening song.
That's musical statues?
They're playing musical statues. Yeah.
Well, goodness gracious.
There you go. There you go. So, just fun fact. Then she gives him a box. She gives Harry a box of dog biscuits, which to me, like from Aunt Marge, that's almost a compliment. You know, she seems she likes the dogs.
These are my favorite.
These are my favorite, exactly. But there's a funny one where not funny, but Ripper, her bulldog, has treed him one time and keeps Harry in the tree until after midnight, that's terrible. Gosh, and what like tenacity for the dog.
Right, like this thing doesn't give up.
It does not give up. But what's funny about that particular memory is that if you fast forward to Order of the Phoenix in the occlumency lessons, Snape like sees this memory from Harry.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Whose dog was it?
Who was the dog? Yeah, it's like Ripper. Yeah, so that's funny that like we never experienced that moment, but like it is remembered twice.
Yeah, Snape gets to see it.
Snape sees it. Yeah. And we don't. Gosh. Yeah.
Marge will be here for a week.
Yep.
Just a painfully long time.
Yes.
But then we also we have the issue of the Hogsmeade letter, which is definitely like sort of like the pivot around which this whole chapter seems to shift around.
Yeah.
You know, because it's Harry does have some reason to try and do his best.
Right.
And that is basically the deal that he comes up with Uncle Vernon, who otherwise would like to deliver the story that Harry is otherwise supposed to be attending St. Brutus's Secure Center for Incurably Criminal Boys.
Yeah, which like I don't understand this at all. Like, how is like this is the story they're putting out to everyone that the orphan boy they've taken in is attending St. Brutus's Secure Center for Incurably Criminal Boys instead of magic school. Like, okay. But, like, how is that better? How is it better for people to think that the boy you raised is going there?
Right.
This is not better.
Yeah, the neighbors are like, good job?
Good job. Cool. Yeah.
I know. That's the thing is, like, I do need and want to believe that everybody else on Privet Drive does not like the Dursleys anyway. Yeah.
Despite though they're trying to act as normal as possible.
They are, and failing at it.
Yeah, I think they're failing. They're not acting normal. They're like unreasonably mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we will see in spades as this chapter unfolds.
Oh, we sure will. I love how like Petunia buys Dudley a new bow tie to put on as well. I'm like, I can't believe he puts up with that almost at all.
Well, I mean, yeah, Dudley's entire basis for this seems like the 20-pound note that he is promised upon Marge's delivery, and then otherwise the other expensive gifts.
Yeah,
that he has then
even
delivered.
that, like Aunt Marge, she hands him the note, like she's knowingly buying a hug from Dudley.
Yes.
You know, who does this?
Who is the show for?
And she's okay with it.
Right.
She's
right.
like, yep, worth it. Worth it.
I get my hug.
Get my hug. Yeah. Oh goodness. So let's see. Yeah, but we have the negotiation between Harry and Vernon, where Harry tries to threaten, like, "Oh, I'll let some stuff slip if you don't sign my form." And with some savvy negotiating, Vernon manages to flip it around and say, like, "Well, I'll sign your form if you behave," which Harry seems to accept. I think he thinks he's lucky that he got anything. I feel like he could have pushed it a little harder.
Yeah.
Gotten it out. Yeah, I think he could have been like,
"You think
no
he
way,
got
bro."
his own broken TV?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think one of those was on the table?
Could have been. I think it was just left in his room. You know. Anyway.
It was there anyway.
It was just there anyway, yeah. Anyway, let's see. Let's see. They break the new car that they were...
They break the new car?
Yeah, he says he wheeled around, pulled open the front door, and slammed it so hard that one of the little panes of glass at the top fell out. I doubt he bragged about it.
It's kind of embarrassing for him.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's see. Then Harry goes up and decides he has to start acting like a real muggle so he can get the form signed, which, like, I don't know how much more, like, what more could he do? Like, I guess he puts his magic books away and stuff, but, like, is she going to be rifling through his room?
That's really the thing to me, is that, like, it's pretty much from the moment that Marge gets there, it's almost as if you can't understand, as the entire chapter is unfolding, how there isn't just it isn't just obvious to Petunia and Vernon what's gonna happen.
Right.
Like, she is, from the moment she walks in the door, she is actively berating him.
Oh, I know. It's like the problem is that like the obvious solution would just be to avoid her as much as possible at all costs, and like that is addressed, and it's like, no, Aunt Marge wants Harry in front of her at all times. She's
right.
like, I'm basically here to rip you to shreds for 7 days.
I know.
This would be my sport.
It's one of the big questions you're forced to ask, which is basically like, what would the Dursleys have been like if Harry had never arrived at number 4 in the first place?
Right.
Because it seems like so much of their spoiling of Dudley comes in the name of like rubbing it in Harry's face to like make life actively worse for him at all costs. So it's like, is there a world where maybe they would have been like more typical parents?
I doubt it.
No,
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not in them.
They would, you know what? Because they would still have. Petunia would always be Lily's sister, and she would always still hate her for being magical.
But Harry wouldn't be there.
But like they would still like detest the magic.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't think like Harry and Dudley are meeting up at Christmas for cousin gifts.
That's
Yeah,
true. That's true.
Or anything. Let's see. So then Aunt Marge finally arrives, looking basically exactly like Vernon, large, beefy, purple-faced, even had a mustache. Great. Brings Ripper, her evil-tempered bulldog, pays Dudley for her hug, which, again, I don't know, like, knowingly doing it. She's just totally cool with it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think the other thing too that I find to be just remarkable is really the way that Petunia must be receiving her, because
yes,
it's like, tea, Marge, and what will Ripper take? And Marge just responds with, Ripper can have some tea out of my saucer, and it's like, really?
Yeah. So 2 things about that. One, I think. We could talk about this as we keep going too. Is like, I don't think Petunia likes Marge either.
Okay. That's my question.
I don't think she likes her because one, she doesn't like animals at all.
Right.
So that's just bad. And she's like making a mess of the house. But like she, despite her like being like, no offense, Petunia, about your family, but your family's terrible. Right. It's like, well, some offense. And I think I do not think Petunia likes her being there. And I think as much as she doesn't like Lily, she does not like the insults either, even more. But then when I also think they offer Marge the tea, and they say, and what will Ripper take? Like, what do you mean? It's a dog. Water, right? What do you mean? What will he take?
Of course.
Like, you're offering him different beverages. But like, I suppose what I think the real point there is that like Uncle Vernon is treating Ripper with like more consideration than even Harry would get.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is kind of interesting, and it's fascinating Marge's like connection with the dogs as well as we enter this story in particular, where we'll eventually learn that like Sirius Black takes on an animagus form as a dog,
right?
And so like there is a part of me that is almost trying to like wonder if like the idea of like the Grimm and even the dog breeding that like Marge goes on and on about isn't supposed to be sort of like guiding you away from the idea that like dogs in this particular book are going to be a positive.
Oh yeah, like all dogs Harry encounters are bad.
Right. Like yeah. In the process of like, escaping the Dursleys here in just a few pages, he's literally gonna like stumble into Sirius Black dog form.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's kind of like, so I just left a house full of
dogs, and here comes another one.
Yeah.
Giant dog, even bigger. Man. But then we meet Colonel Fobster. Yeah. Who's watching the other 11 dogs, I guess. But she's brought Ripper with him. Although, let's see, we go down here. I love how the way they have her talk is says, so she barks. So like everything about her is even kind of like a dog, too.
I know, yeah. That's another interesting one too, because that's like Sirius always has his like famous like barking laugh.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So there's that. She asks Harry, "Still here, are you?" And it's like, is he supposed to have left? Like, where is he gonna go? Yes, I'm still here. Don't want to be. Then she goes like out of her way to say that I wouldn't have taken you in. You'd have gone straight to an orphanage if you'd been dumped on my doorstep. Which, like, wow, like so bad. Like she's bragging about this. This is her like, yeah. This is a flex.
Right. Yeah. This is strength of character.
I wouldn't have taken you in Yeah, but what's crazy about that is that had he been an orphanage, it would have been like one more thing Harry had in common with Voldemort. You know?
That is true.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder, do you feel, I mean, I don't think it would have made a difference. I think Harry's just too innately good.
I don't think it would have made a difference, but like interestingly, the next sentence is Harry was bursting to say that he'd rather live in an orphanage than live with the Dursleys. But like, I wonder if he'd still feel that way if he at that point knew Voldemort was raised in an orphanage. You know? Like, if he already knew and was suddenly given the option, like, you want to go orphanage or stay with the Dursleys?
Oh, like would he like avoid having the same route?
I think he would.
I think,
absolutely.
that's a good point. Plus, Dumbledore never would have allowed it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not giving you one more thing in common with Voldemort.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, not at all. Let's see. Even the way, so next Vernon is prompted by Marge about where they're sending Harry. He says it's a first-rate institution for hopeless cases, which is just oxymoronic, because if it's hopeless, then what are they going to do?
What is best case scenario,
what's best case scenario
for the hopeless cases?
Yeah, I know, right? No good there. Then she immediately jumps to, do they use the cane at St. Brutus's? And Harry's like, of course, I get beaten all the time. Which she's not too thrilled about. She's like, well, that's good and all, but like, you seem okay with it, so no good.
No good. Yeah.
Suggested to Petunia that she go out of her way to write to the school and make it clear that you approve the use of extreme force in this boy's case. Like, good Lord, Marge. It's just so bad.
I know. This is what I was worried about with this chapter forever, is that I'm like, we basically have to talk about one of the cruelest people.
I know.
You know, it's just like...
This is her other sentence. I won't have this namby-pamby, wishy-washy nonsense about not hitting people who deserve it. I mean, come on. Like, this is what I mean. Even the Death Eaters are not killed, you know?
Right.
Like... The wizarding world is more, like, merciful than Aunt Marge.
Yeah, right.
Oh, gosh. It's terrible.
Life on Marge's farm.
Oh, man. No, it's bad. There's puppy drowning.
I know, yeah. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
A puppy drowns in this
puppy
chapter.
drowns in this chapter. So bad. Anyway, Vernon, this is okay, I like this though. Vernon like tries to steer the conversation away from St. Brutus. He said, heard the news this morning, Marge? What about that escaped prisoner, eh? Which like, this is like an interesting trick that happens throughout the book where it's like, oh, you think, because it's like, Vernon is using this to like, take the focus away from Harry or whatever, but like Sirius will not leave the focus. Like every time you think he's out of the story, he'll be brought back to the center.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
And it's like, and it's happening right here too.
It's actually kind of like an interesting writing technique as well, because like this ends this particular paragraph. So there is no more conversation about the prisoner, but it stands to reason that if they've been watching coverage, they also probably would have learned Black's first name.
Yeah, by now.
Yeah, so there'd be like more information. So like whatever conversation happens next probably would have expositioned us into additional information about Sirius Black. So then it's just like, and then it's the next day.
Yeah, there we go. Where Aunt Marge, on the other hand, wanted Harry under her eye at all times so she could boom out suggestions for his improvement. And I highlighted that sentence because it's just like, she really just feels like Umbridge 1.0.
Yes.
Like, just, Like, I don't think another character is almost as bad until she shows up.
There's not some unbelievable way, because we know that Umbridge claims that she is a pureblood and that she's wearing Slytherin's locket, which stands for Selwyn, I believe, saying that she's a pureblood, but she's not because she's a half-blood. There's no world where these two are, like, related somehow.
That Umbridge is related to the Dursleys.
Yeah.
Through Vernon's side.
Yeah. Like cousins.
Like, oh boy.
It wouldn't be surprising that they didn't get together for Christmas.
They do have the same temperament, but that would be unlikely, I think.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
Yeah, it feels like we'd know.
It does feel like we know.
Yeah. Because this is like his, presumably, Vernon's only sister.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it seems there would have to be some other unusual way in which this would have come together, but it does feel way too similar.
Yeah. All right, then we come to maybe my least favorite sentence, Ben.
Okay.
In the entire series.
Oh, geez.
Where they are where Aunt Marge is comparing Lily to breeding dogs. I don't even know if I want to read it. You see it all the time with dogs. If there's something wrong with there'll be something wrong with the pup. And it's like, I
highlighted it and just wrote, I hate her.
Yes, I know. It's just, yeah. Like, this is the one where I think, like, even Petunia is like, don't like that. Don't like that.
Yeah, and this is kind of like, well, I don't know that it's even that interesting, but it's like, this is the moment where Harry's magic really does start to explode out of him a little bit. Like,
Indeed.
he is trying.
Literally explode.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It's
I mean,
him. He thinks it's him.
Right.
Here's the thing. Okay, so here's what happens.
Lay it
so
on me.
At the moment, the wine glass Aunt Marge was holding exploded in her hand, which presumably is Harry, which, this doesn't... If it's Harry, this apparently doesn't count as underage magic, right?
right.
Right, like that. Nope. That was fine. But if it is Harry, not only is it underage, but he just did wandless magic, which is also cool.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. But the thing that's kind of surprising about it is that Marge actually brushes this off with zero concerns whatsoever.
Zero concerns, because apparently this happened just recently as
At
well.
Colonel Fubster's.
At Colonel Fubster's. Exactly. So the question is, if Harry made this happen, Marge attributes it the same way. But if Harry made it blow up last time, did Colonel Fubster make it blow up last time?
No.
You see, magic.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
I literally wrote down, I was like, obviously it's Harry that actually causes this to happen, but what
Yeah.
happened with Fubster the other day?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, what kind of conversation were they having?
Yeah, she's like, just go drown that puppy. And he's like, ugh,
I don't like being your friend.
I hate you. Yeah.
Good take, Colonel Fubster.
Good take, yeah,
Yeah.
if he's magic. That'd be so funny.
That would
He's
be
magic.
really funny. That
Like,
would
just
be
like
really funny.
Dumbledore is just like, yeah, you go watch, because they're related, so just keep an eye, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, this is the worst host ever.
That would be the worst assignment. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
that would be the
a
worst
member
one.
of the Order of the Phoenix,
Yeah.
Colonel Fubster.
Look, he's giving it a military title.
He does.
Right?
How about that?
There he is, Colonel Fubster.
Yeah, new
It is.
headcanon.
There you go. The magical. I doubt that one's true.
Me too.
Okay, that was my light tie to that. So we make it through 3 more days of Marge being there. Harry starts distracting himself with the handbook of do-it-yourself broom care. And they come to the final evening of Marge's stay.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness, I know. And they are several bottles of wine deep, which is crazy because only 3 of them can drink. Several, like...
Several is 3, at least.
At minimum 3.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's a bottle of wine per person.
Several might even be 4.
It could be. If you watch Survivor, several is 7. Exactly.
Nice.
Jelinski. Oh, man. Yeah, so maybe 7 bottles of wine later. Upwards, at least. They've had some drink. They've had some drink. And Vernon's not done. He opens the brandy. Says, "Can I tempt you, Marge?" She says, "Just a small one, but a big one." A bit more. Let's keep going. Keep going.
This is my, like, I don't even know if I call it my favorite or least favorite voice from Jim Dale.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you hear so much. I bet he left the office after recording this chapter, and he was
Yeah.
like, I'm done. I need
done.
to take a breather.
Yeah. From
But-
doing Aunt Marge.
From doing Aunt Marge, because
Yeah.
it's so intense. I was gonna try it.
Oh. Ben. Now you've said it.
Oh gosh. This is gonna be miserable. Excellent nosh, Petunia.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Thank you.
Very good.
I needed that. I think a little bit of my soul just died. Have to Stephen Fry version. Okay. Oh, I've heard that. All right, we'll check them out.
They're redoing it. They're going to have like full cast versions soon. Have you guys heard that? Yeah. What? They're doing new audiobooks, yeah. Yeah, dramatized. I know. Full cast. I know. I'm like, how can I be Lockhart? How can I...
Can I be
get in
tapped?
Can I get in on this?
Can we get a good...
Someone get me in there.
Pretty obvious.
Pretty obvious.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Your Lockhart,
What?
better than my Aunt Marge.
Yeah. Also pretty obvious. No, it's not.
Okay,
Yours is great.
Thank you. Yeah, so then after basically having just massive amounts of, what is our new liquid here?
Nosh.
Nosh. No,
Yeah.
nosh.
No.
Nosh, I think, means food.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the drink that they're having? Brandy,
Brandy,
yeah. So then she burped richly.
Yeah.
It's just too vivid.
Patted
I can smell it.
her great tweed stomach. Oh boy. There we
Which
go.
she manages to transition into a conversation topic about something else. She says, "Pardon me," so at least she's, kind of, excuse me.
Yeah.
But I do like to see a healthy sized boy. And I'm like, man, I don't know how you were able to transition out of that.
Yeah.
Like, into a different conversation
Here we
about
go.
Dudley.
Yep. There we go. Then she, of course, starts saying that Harry has a mean, runty look about him and starts again brags that she had Colonel Fubster drown a puppy last year for being too mean and runty. Yeah, ratty little thing it was, weak, underbred, which just like, ugh. She's like, that word right there, the underbred part is like the super like muggle Death Eater-ness that like is trying to be established. Like Aunt Marge, like you hate her so much, but like that's very much the point. Like she is supposed to represent all of like the prejudice in the world that you're like, ah.
Yes, yeah, no,
Yeah.
you're exactly right. Because I mean, this is even like the hypocrisy that is inbound. Because we're gonna start talking about Harry's parents, and she is obviously just wasted.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at some point in time, we start talking about like Harry's parents supposedly having been killed in a car accident,
Right.
Which they haven't been. But then she accuses them of being drunks.
Right.
Yeah.
While she is several bottles deep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe
Like-
7.
like, maybe 7. Yes. Goodness me. So bad. She even says it just outright, like it all comes down to blood, which is like basically like the Death Eater motto.
Right. Yes.
Like, we should.
I think we should try.
We should.
Yeah.
We have a bone to pick with her.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no.
Voldemort doesn't.
I know. Yeah. Voldemort doesn't even kill Fluffy. A video we made twice.
By
On
accident.
Oh, good. If you're watching the channel and you saw that video last week and were like, yeah, they made this one. And like someone mentioned that in our Discord server, and I was like, no, we didn't. And I went in, I was like, maybe someone else did? I went on YouTube, I looked it up, and like, boom, there it was. I was like, well, what do you know? And then even like, I don't know if you paid really close attention to the thumbnail. The one I made last week, I put a little purple turban on the Q for
Yeah.
Coral.
Adorable.
Well, if you look at the old thumbnail, I did the same thing. I was like, man, both times I must have been like, when I was like, this is so clever. This is so good. This is so good.
I'm a genius.
Yeah, good. Meanwhile, didn't remember doing at all. Yeah, so if you're wondering, like, why'd they do that twice? Did it just perform so well? It's like, nope.
That was not it. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, the first, it's good. This is a good video. But. Anyway, let's see. There is a random thing here. So, Aunt Marge asks, "What did James do?" Which Uncle Vernon says he didn't work, unemployed. Which, like, true? Right? True? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
He inherited.
Right.
Right?
He inherited.
Like, yeah.
Right, yeah, but I mean, the big thing I think is really that because they're under the Fidelius charm, they really don't have much of a choice.
Yeah, as far I think they're
I don't
pretty
know
much
how
just in the order, and then they're under the Fidelius charm, and
Yeah, what's the work
That's
from
it.
home sitch?
yeah, right. Not much
Yeah.
they can do, but
Yeah.
I guess technically unemployed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, this really, I feel like it seems to me like she's baiting him, because then she follows it up and says, a no account, good for nothing, lazy scrounger who, and then that's when Harry cuts in.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, she really is just at this point, like I have to imagine if you're Verdon and Petunia, you have to be watching this scene unfold and be like, oh gosh.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because-
Because she didn't even know James.
I know, yeah. But so Vernon cuts in. He's like, more brandy, because that's what everybody needs right now.
Yeah, yeah, right. Let's get some more alcohol in here. But he does see the writing on the wall. He's like, okay.
Right.
He's even trying to get Harry to leave. He's like, you go, get out of the room. Come
Yeah,
on, come
you know
on.
who's
get-
not trying to get him to leave though? Marge, who's like, no, go on, boy. Proud of your
on.
parents, are you?
Yeah. They go and get themselves killed in a car crash. Drunk, I expect. Yeah, no, good. And then Harry's like, they didn't die in a car crash. And she just doubles down and says, they died in a car crash. Like,
Were you there?
Yeah. Why do you care? What difference does it make? Left you to be a burden on their decent, hardworking relatives. Like, oh, God. Like, they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
You know? Goodness me.
I know.
But then all of a sudden, Harry has reached his breaking point, and Marge starts swelling.
Yes, she does.
Yes. Keeps swelling and swelling.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. Truly rightfully so. Because, like, it's... Okay, I want to know what you think about... Is Harry trying to inflate her? Is he just, like, reacting angrily? Because, like, it seems like the punishment fits the crime. Like, she has this insane self-inflated like ego about herself. Yes. And Harry's just like, fine, if you think so, if you're this self-inflated, well,
that's the thing, is that like I think that, I mean, even Harry himself on the next page says like she deserved it. She deserved what she got.
Yeah.
And it's like, so the question would be like, is he specifically so poignant as to assign the correct punishment?
Right.
Or is this sort of like magic just sort of like funneling through? Because you're right, like it's this inflated sense of self-importance, and so what she gets is inflated. And so like it almost to me feels more like that's magic having like its own laws.
Yeah,
like,
it does feel like that.
It's kind of like like magic itself gets it. It's like so
yes.
So I don't know that Harry is meaning for this particular outcome, but I think this particular outcome is the only outcome that would happen.
I kind of agree with you. It's all because Harry is really on instinct right now.
He is
as well, because he runs from the kitchen and it says the cupboard door burst magically open as he reached in. So like he's not even having to like unlock stuff anymore. Stuff's just like erupting around him.
Yes.
To his will.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, maybe this is like a little bit of a demonstration too as to just how powerful Harry is, because magic is literally just exploding out of him at the moment.
Which is a good setup for later when you get, it's like the best example in like the whole series of Harry's like insane power.
Yes.
Yeah, when he fights the...
Flowed out of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you keep putting fingers over.
Ooh.
It's like
That's
erupting
true.
out.
Because he has been like actually repressing for the whole week too.
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So the idea here is basically that the way that an obscurus is formed is through repression of one's magic, and so like what is almost happening is like an obscurus burp, if you will.
Yeah. A little release valve.
Yeah.
Got it out of me. A rich burp.
A rich
exactly.
burp. Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe Harry was wearing tweed as well.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I like to think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Goodness me. Let's see. So Harry bursts out, which again, this now means that he has inflated Marge, burst open the door, and blown up the glass in her hand. All underage magic, none of which is noticed.
I know, which is remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the last year it was Dobby performing magic that alerted
and immediately
the
does
ministry.
It. Which I guess Black is already escaped, and they're already like, yeah, he's after Harry, so like
it
Harry's
could be,
off the hook right now.
Right. So it could be like if you're at the ministry and you're watching for like underage magic, like little like flags to like pop up on the map or whatever. Maybe they're like staring at Privet Drive and they're like, oh boy.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Should we send someone in? Or?
But you'd think, even that, you'd think if they're like, well, let's not get Harry in trouble for underage magic at the moment because Sirius Black might attack him. But like, then if magic starts popping up in the form of explosions, you think they'd be like, I think I know where Black is.
Right, yeah.
Send in the forces.
We were worried right now this would happen. It seems like it's happening.
They are like, the ministry has a really weird approach here because even in like a couple of chapters, Harry's going to be like the ministry who is looking for Black and who is concerned that Black is looking for Harry will have Harry on Diagon Alley, like staying at the Leaky Cauldron.
Yeah.
And they want to catch Sirius, and they think he's looking for Harry, and they know where Harry is, and there's no Dementors.
There's no Dementors.
There's no Dementors at Diagon Alley. Like, why not?
Yeah, right. But they're going to send them on the train.
They're going
to send them to school.
Yeah, he's on that train.
They're going to be everywhere else.
Yeah, but like Diagon Alley, they like. If you're the ministry, you can be like, okay, Sirius knows Harry's going to school. He's going to have to buy his school supplies. Diagon Alley is where Harry... Like, they can reason out Sirius can reason out
Yes.
where Harry will be. you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why there's no Dementors on Diagon Alley is beyond me. Or
Azkaban guards, yeah.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, got ahead of myself here. Yeah. I don't know why this has to happen that way, but so Harry learns the word in the proper scary moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. That's the real reason.
That's the real reason.
That's the real reason.
Yeah.
But realistically, yeah. So Harry in just basically a wink of an eye gets all of his materials together.
Yeah.
Rather impressively, and he is just out the door.
He's done.
I'm going. I've had enough.
Had enough.
And in the next moment, he was out in the dark, quiet street, heaving his heavy trunk behind him, Hedwig's cage under his arm.
Boom. End chapter 2.
End chapter 2.
Yeah.
My closing note was just, geez.
That's what I said. Yeah, seems about right.
Yeah.
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 Right? Like, how can you? I mean, it's so crazy. Like, he actually gets to the point where he's like, I'm running away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care anymore. I will live on my own.
Just going to figure it out from here.
Just figuring it out from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jay, do you have a review for us to
Oh,
close
man.
out?
I do have a review from us, Ben.
You do?
From Josephine Carver. It
Are they
says, my
here?
only podcast, and thank you. Hey, Carlins, I've been a giant Harry Potter fan for years. The first book my mother ever read to not even 2-week-old me was Deathly Hallows. Wow.
Wow.
I don't think I read that part
Dense.
earlier. Yeah. Weird flex. I've watched the movies dozens of times my whole life, just recently having started reading the books. So I have a few things. One, we know in Chamber of Secrets, Diary Riddle isn't worried about harming wizards from Muggle families. So what if Draco was petrified or killed by the basilisk? Do you think Lucius would have come clean, or would he double down? So, if it had hit a pureblood wizard.
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying. So what Lucius is really trying to do is not bring Tom Riddle back. He doesn't really know what the diary is going to do, other than potentially open the chamber.
Right.
So
I think he's trying to do something with. Is it get rid of Arthur? Is that his
Yeah, he's
actual
trying to
plan?
get rid
Yeah.
of Arthur, basically.
Yeah.
So he because it would look really bad on Arthur if his own daughter had
Yeah.
like an
Opened the chamber
ill-affected.
that attacked Muggleborns.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. For the Muggleborn Protection Act. Is that what
Yeah.
he's working on? Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
So the question would be, to what extent Lucius would use this to fan the flame, or would Narcissa more likely be like, yo, too far?
I mean, certainly Narcissa would be that way.
Because Dobby knows the plan.
Yeah.
Which means Lucius is talking about it in the house.
Yeah.
Which means Narcissa knows.
Yeah.
Narcissa wouldn't.
Yeah, I
stand for it.
don't think she'd be cool with her son dying. Yeah.
Yeah. Or she definitely wouldn't be cool with that. But even petrified.
Even petrified, that's too far.
It's too far.
Yeah.
Too much danger would have been the foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah.
the problem
I mean, but like
though,
what it would look like is that Ginny had killed Draco.
it would look that way.
Yeah, right.
And the real problem there is that they can't come clean because they're the ones with diary on their hands.
Yeah.
Oh, that almost sounded really bad. Woo! Yikes. Woo! A reminder, I'm sitting in front of 200 people right now.
Yep. Man.
What do you think?
I think. I feel like they'd go ahead and let the Weasleys take the fall, but I'm not sure they would be as cool with Voldemort.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So you think they take a step back?
Yeah, I think they take a step back.
Okay. Okay. That's an
I mean,
interesting.
that's basically what's happening anyway. That's in Half-Blood Prince when Draco, because Draco's not really supposed to kill Dumbledore. It's
No,
just
he's
slow
not supposed to
torture.
succeed, yeah.
yeah. They're going and Voldemort's going to kill him anyway, and that that's already the Malfoys are yeah, see ya, we're out.
Right, yeah, they're trying to exit strategy.
Yeah.
Which, that's a good point. They're trying to exit strategy basically from Half-Blood Prince on, if they can somehow find a way to. They're trying to protect themselves more than follow Voldemort's regime. At that point, they just think following Voldemort's regime will save them.
Right.
But at this point, Voldemort's not even back.
Yeah.
So it would be a lot easier for them to step away.
Right.
And be like, all right, we're just going to go.
See ya.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
To the Canary Islands.
The Canary. Yeah. Oh, that's where they're going.
Maybe. Majorca.
Majorca.
That's where everybody goes.
Everyone vacations here. They'll see the Dursleys. They're Muggle counterparts.
Aunt Marge. Is that
Aunt
where she
Marge.
is? Ate a funny fig.
Ate a funny fig in Majorca. You're right.
Yeah?
Yes. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You know what else we haven't mentioned? Oh,
A
funny
whelk.
whelk.
Ate a funny whelk.
Ate a funny whelk, which is like a snail, right? Yes. Wow. Okay, cool. Thank you.
It's all coming back to us.
It's all coming back. Remember it all.
Laser-eyed snail, anyone?
Laser-eyed snails.
Laser eye snails coming soon.
What's crazy is that we didn't mention this at all, but like we have the entire terrible interaction with Aunt Marge, and then later in Deathly Hallows, he had like a similarly bad version of this conversation with Auntie Muriel. You know,
That's
It was, like,
true.
yet another. She is like it's like the same.
The same but different.
Yeah, the same but different. But now she's magic.
Muriel's not good, but
No.
Muriel seems less bad.
She seems less bad, but she does like plant this like huge seed of doubt in Harry about Dumbledore.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But she would have grown up around the same time to like witness the rumors. 'Cause
Yeah.
She's 105 years old. 7?
107.
It's always 7.
always 7.
It's always 7.
Except when it's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except when it's 4.
Yeah.
That was last night.
That's how we know it was 7 bottles of wine, right, guys?
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
it.
It was
That's
7
it.
bottles of
7
wine.
bottles of wine.
That's why Harry could do magic so powerfully.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes, it's the
exactly.
most powerful
We've
magical
unlocked
number.
it.
Yeah. There was a source of 7 in the room
Yeah, right.
to pull off of. That's what we'll go with. All right. Well, do you want to close us out?
I think we can close us out. That is going to do it, you guys, for Chapter 2 on Marge's Big Mistake. Join us next week for Chapter 3, The Night Bus on Through the Griffin Door. And we did it! All right. Boom. Exciting. Woo! Oh, man.
What'd you guys think?
That was super fun.
Today's episode was edited by Ethan Edgehill. Vaishon Brandon does our art. Catherine Stein is our production manager, and the show is hosted by me and Jonathan Carlin.
Hey guys, before we dive on into Chapter 3 of Prisoner Azkaban, live from Philadelphia, we wanted to let you know that we actually have more live shows on the horizon.
I know, we are just so absolutely excited. Tickets are on sale now for the West Coast tour that we are going to be doing at the end of September 2024.
Yes, in case you haven't heard yet, this September we are coming to the West Coast. We are going to Seattle, Portland, Sacramento, Berkeley, San Diego, and Los Angeles.
Yeah, we are it's going to be so much fun, guys. If you haven't been watching the other live shows that we've been doing, there's obviously one coming up right after we finish talking right now. It has been a total blast. You don't want to miss out. We are so excited to see you. Links to all of the tickets are available in the description down below.
Yep, go check it out, and we'll see you there.
Enjoy the episode.
Welcome, dear listeners. I'm Jonathan Carlin.
And I'm Benjamin Carlin.
And we invite you to join us through the Griffin Door, your one-way ticket to the enchanting world of Harry Potter. So grab your wands, dust off your broomsticks, and join us as we unlock the mysteries behind Prisoner of Azkaban, Chapter 3, The Night Bus, live from Philadelphia.
Let's hear it.
Yes! What's up, Philly? Oh my gosh.
The bartenders working here tonight are like, this is the nerdiest group of people we have ever had. It's like normally we got comedians and bands and there's a whole group of people screaming about Harry Potter Chapter 3.
I know. Very exciting. Very exciting. I'm so excited for this particular chapter. I'm just excited to be here at all. Ben, the last time I was in Philadelphia, I was at a marketing conference, and the whole point was to learn how to, I worked at a concert venue.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe you guys have heard.
Yeah, bingo.
Yeah. And the whole thing was like you're trying to learn and come up with new ideas to how to sell more tickets to get a sellout crowd at your venue.
Yeah.
And so now to return to Philadelphia and to have a sellout crowd,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
The hero returns.
Oh, yeah, here we go. We've come back.
We've come
made it.
back. We've
Yeah.
done it.
I guess I learned something.
Apparently, yeah, it worked. It worked. But I really am so excited for this chapter. Probably one of my favorite videos that we ever made on the Super Carlin Brothers YouTube channel was the one about Stan Shunpike and the Knight bus.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh. It went
Do you
down.
guys remember that one? Yeah.
Yes.
Good times.
Good times.
Good
Yeah,
times.
We'll get to Stan. We'll get to Stan for sure.
Yes.
And there were so many, like, I wouldn't have realized that you're right. There are so many videos we've made for Super Carlin Brothers that have come out of this particular chapter.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, it's definitely, in comparison to the Aunt Marge chapter, it is jam-packed with so many like vital little
There's
bits.
like big like little what if moments in this one where it's like, well, everything could have been a lot different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things could have changed if Harry hadn't accidentally called the night bus, and Sirius could have just come out of the hedges and been like, "Hi, I'm your godfather. We can be best friends now."
I know. I didn't do it. It was this guy named Peter Pettigrew. He's with this family named the Weasleys. Oh, you know them? Your best friend? Did I mention I was your father's best friend?
And you've got a broom.
Yeah.
We can go there now.
Right now.
Right now.
Well, he's in Egypt, so.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So maybe like in like 2
We'll
weeks.
wait. We'll just hang out, you know.
We'll get there. Yeah.
They won't mind.
In due course.
In due course. That'd be so great the Weasleys come home.
It's-
Sirius is there. Pettigrew's like, oh no.
This is bad.
Bad. I'm out.
Oh, man.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah,
All
but-
right. So let's maybe just dive into the chapter here, shall we?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. So first of all, we got to talk about the chapter art as ever, which I don't know if you guys can see. We got Harry kind of sitting on the night bus there with its 3 beds. There's 6 beds per level. So despite being a triple-decker bus, it's like an 18-person capacity.
Yeah. But I mean, the fares are pretty, like coming up on a galleon worth
Yeah.
of per ticket.
Per ticket, yeah.
Yeah, especially if you want that toothbrush.
You want that toothbrush.
Color
Let me
of your choice.
Ben, I can't tell you how much I would not, if I got into like a cab and the driver turns around and is like, you want to buy a toothbrush? I'd be like, what? Like, you can choose the color. No.
No, I think if he offered for me to choose the color, I'd be like, I'm sold.
Oh. Do you have blue?
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'll take the toothbrush. Why not? Strange taxi man.
Yeah. All right. What a side hustle.
Yeah.
All right, so to recap from the last chapter, Harry has just fled from the Dursleys after blowing up Aunt Marge, thank goodness. Anger is still surging through him, and suddenly he decides, I think this is such a funny thought by Harry, he's like, a new emotion overtakes him, panic. Whichever way he looked at it, he'd never been in a worse fix. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, there was that whole basilisk situation.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Quirrell and Voldemort. Voldemort the first time.
Voldemort the first time. Yeah.
It's like, so I don't exactly know whether or not.
Aragog.
Yeah, blowing up your Aunt Marge. You've seen worse.
You've seen worse. This
Harry.
isn't the worst fix you've been in, my man. But I guess in the moment you might feel that way.
Sure,
that's
sure.
all right. The worst of it was he says he's done serious magic, which debatable.
It is kind of debatable because,
Yeah.
like, at this point in time, like when Dobby does the snap with the pudding, it kind of seems like everything starts going wrong basically immediately.
Yeah.
Like, the owls start coming in, like he's clearly in trouble. But this time he actually has not, he's performed lots of magic. I mean, obviously the inflation of Aunt Marge, but like he's not doing it intentionally.
Right,
so
not
like
on purpose. No wand cast.
No wand cast, no incantations said aloud or anything like that. So
Yeah. Like certainly even after you've been to Hogwarts, like you could like accidentally make stuff happen.
yeah, also true.
right?
Yeah. Like
Got to be
that's-
some forgiveness.
Exactly, and especially for like all the students who go home for the summer holidays, like this can't even be the only time. Like people are surely getting into arguments with their families and getting upset. And,
Oh, yeah.
and like accidental magic is ensuing. So
I mean, there are Aunt Marges. There's Aunt Marges in the Wizarding world. There's Aunt Muriel.
Exactly.
There's Umbridge.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Ugh.
Man,
Let's
can you
see.
imagine if they were all sisters?
I mean,
The family reunions.
I know, boy. They wouldn't make it out. So Harry is concerned that he's going to be arrested or just be outlawed from the Wizarding world. And it's really cleverly done how it's like Harry is sitting here like, this is his like worst his worst nightmare is being outlawed from the wizarding world, and he is like moments away from meeting Sirius Black, who's like, that's his reality.
Yeah.
You know, like Harry is about to be an outlaw. He's about to meet an outlaw. So it's like it's like building the empathy for Sirius in the moment.
It definitely
Yeah.
is, and I feel like this book so far has been doing this a little bit, where it's like mirroring situations a little bit. Like
Yeah.
you know, even with Marge again, like you've kind of got like the dogs that like Ripper that comes with her, and then Sirius's Animagus form is a dog, and it's
Yeah.
sort of like it almost seems like it's trying to like build these like little barriers for you to bounce around off of, and like decide where you really feel. Or like in chapter 1, I think Uncle Vernon even makes the comment about how like Sirius Black in the news, the Muggle news, looks like a total runabout and not somebody that he approves of, which is basically like confirmation. Well, then he must not be such a bad guy.
Right, I know. If
You
Uncle
know?
Vernon doesn't like him.
If Uncle Vernon doesn't like
Yeah,
him,
that should be the main tip-off immediately, that you're like, oh, he's probably a good guy.
he's probably good.
Yeah,
we
we got
don't
it.
need to worry about him.
Yup.
Yep.
Yep.
But fortunately, Harry does have some materials with him. He has a little bit of gold. Thank goodness.
Which he doesn't understand that would, like, he's like, I guess I have wizard gold, but what am I going to do with that? Muggles don't like gold. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you could spend that gold in some way.
So someone would take it off your hands.
Someone would take that gold off your hands, Harry. I think you could make it happen.
Yeah. Once again, we've got the situation where the top thing on Harry's mind is that just ever-present fear of expulsion, which just never really until when do we lose that? Book 4? Does it finally go away?
I guess it seems by the time he knows the prophecy, he should really be not worried about that.
Right. He's
At
like,
least, well, the problem is he probably gets that from. Well, you're right. After book 4, he's probably like, it's okay, and then Umbridge shows up, and it's like, oh, butts.
oh man.
Yeah. But here's the thing: is that, like, Harry spends so much time worrying about getting expelled, and then Umbridge shows up and does nothing but try to get him expelled and can't do it.
And can't do it.
Yeah.
So it's like Harry, were you ever even at risk?
No,
At
not
all.
at all.
Like
Not at
nobody's
all.
gonna let you go anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like the fact that like maybe like once he learns the prophecy, he's like, okay, well, education's out for me, but I can always cash in on this chosen one thing.
Exactly. So I'm pretty set.
This could work out.
Yeah. So Harry comes up with a quick plan. He's going to cast a spell on his trunk to make it feather light, which is like the kind of magic you never see him do ever. I'm like, can you do that?
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, is this just like a spell that's been like learned
That he
off
just
page
knows?
that he's
Yeah.
picked up on? Yeah, possibly.
Seems like he's really confident about doing that. But I like this line. It says he's about to begin his life as an outcast, because it's kind of the same thing. Like, because you're right. It's like, again, mirroring with Sirius, where like Harry in a way has just like fled the Dursleys. So like in his own way, he is like broken out of his own prison.
True.
You know?
Yeah, that's
And,
a really good point.
So there's sort of like just a both broken out, which also then draws up a really funny like comparison between the Dursleys and the Dementors.
Yeah. They both start with the letter D.
They both
too.
start with the letter D. They're basically the guards at the prison.
They suck
They're making
happiness right out of
they
you.
They suck the happiness out of you. Yeah, they drain your magic. Yeah, they're basically the same. You know. Oh, the terrible Dursleys.
Yeah.
Goodness me. Let's see. Then did he straighten up? So I look around once more.
The next big thing that I think is kind of interesting that's happening here is starting to kind of like clue us into, because we don't always get this with Harry. Like, I think a lot of times when I was reading the book as a kid, I really wanted the moment to come where Harry just sort of becomes really, really, really good. And you're just always
Right.
like, this kid, like, nobody's going to go up against him because he's going to wreck everybody. And it's going to
Right.
be great and awesome and perfect. But, like, realistically, like, it takes a while. Like, he has his big, momentous moments. And obviously, like, especially by the time the DA rolls around, it's like, okay, this kid's got some
Right.
skills. But there is a moment here where Harry basically is, like, just running on instinct, where it says, a funny prickling on the back of his neck made Harry feel like he was being watched.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, that is just sort of, like, good, solid intuition that
Yeah.
like that sets him up for, you know, what he's going to be doing for the rest of his life.
Right, he's just got like instincts like something's watching me.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It even says he sensed rather than heard it.
Yeah.
Someone or something was standing in the narrow gap between the garage and the fence behind him. Harry squinted at the black alleyway, which I think this is kind of funny because you're looking at the alleyway
Yeah.
and what he's seeing is Sirius Black.
Right, the black alleyway.
The black alleyway,
Yeah.
yeah. It's more of a title than it
Yeah,
is
exactly,
than
right, yeah.
like a description. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I like that. His sort of like sixth sense about like,
Yeah, like what's...
yeah, like dark things being afoot or something being afoot. I guess not a dark thing. He's actually pretty safe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, of course. But then he does finally and officially cast a spell.
Yes, he finally uses his wand and casts Lumos. So at this point, now there's no excuses. It feels like the ministry should be like, whoa, magic.
Magic. Yeah,
No good.
And that's another one that's kind of interesting that's going to get mirrored later in Order of the Phoenix, because this specific street, as long as we're talking about alleyways, that we're on is Magnolia Crescent. And I believe that this is the same area. It's like the alleyway between Magnolia Crescent and Wisteria Walk.
Well,
also,
is Magnolia Crescent the street they're on?
is it not?
Yeah, I guess a low wall in Magnolia Crescent, or is that like the
That does
The
make it sound
town.
like it's like an area.
the neighborhood?
I think it's a street.
You think it's a street?
I think it's a
because
street.
you're probably right, because it says he's several streets away. But then it's weird because he shines his light on the wall and it says the walls of number 2. So it's like you're several streets away and you're just on number 2. The Dursleys live on number 4.
Right, yeah. It's like you could probably still hear Aunt Marge screaming from where you are.
Yeah, right, come on. How many houses are in this neighborhood?
But what is kind of funny here is that like in this particular moment, he is casting a spell, and again in a way that the ministry is not cracking down on. But then by the time year 5 comes around, like you can see that huge perspective shift from the Ministry of Magic in terms of like how they feel about magic being performed by Harry in this same location,
yes.
because this is where the Dementors attack.
This whole scene is happens almost again in book 5.
Right.
And it's so funny how different it is, because this time Harry is like, he senses something, but
Right.
like the perceived danger is not real and he's actually very safe. And like the ministry is looking for him, and like they don't even care that he does magic.
Right.
And then you fast forward to book 5, and it's like the danger is extremely real, and the ministry themselves sent it.
Right. Right.
And they're
they
trying
are-
to punish him for this magic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
It's definitely like
A
we're
lot
getting like
changes.
seriously mirrored.
Serious.
Serious. And he gives him a mirror. It's a double pun if you think about it hard enough.
There you go. I also think, I don't know, what do you think about this? It says his leg hit it, he was about to call the night bus, and it says his leg hit the trunk and he tripped, his wand flew out of his hand as he flung his arm back. So it's like, even this, it's like Sirius in a way, like disarms him, which is like Harry's signature move.
Oh, sure.
You know? It's like, that's another like, is that another little like hint that like, oh, that's the good guy.
That's a good guy.
Right.
Like you think the idea. So is it the case? Okay, let's see here.
I don't think he like does any magic at him. It's just sort of like what happens.
Well, there's nothing. Okay, his legs hit his trunk and he tripped. His wand flew out of his hand as he flung out an arm to break his fall. Okay, so it's not like the wand just goes rocketing out of his hand out of nowhere. Okay.
But it's like the same effect as Expelliarmus.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's absolutely true. Now, what I do think is really interesting about this is that this particular action does bring me to one of my favorite theories that we have inside of the Night Bus chapter.
Yeah.
Which is, like, this is the methodology that is used to summon the Night Bus. And it feels like lucky that this happens.
That it happens, that he's just like, whoa.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, what, why, okay, that was like, turns out you calling, like, your falling also calls for help.
Well, because I think it's that you have to stick your wand out on the curb.
Yes, but
Yeah.
but why is that so, like, vital? Why that specifically?
I don't know. I guess like when you call a bus, you're on the curb.
No. Sorry, I was trying to set you up there.
Okay.
Okay. So this is our belief. This goes back to our belief inside of the theory that the night bus itself could potentially be a transformed Zowu.
A Zowu.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if we've seen the Crimes of Grindelwald movie, we know
Yeah,
there's
seen that.
the very large, like, lion-like creature that is uniquely capable of jumping through space and time.
Right, it can like teleport around.
Yes.
But in the
Yeah.
meantime, it can also run like thousands of miles a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it can travel and cover a huge amount of space and time. And this I think is potentially like what makes the night bus so incredibly unique, because taming a Zowu in the first place is like incredibly difficult. And Newt even leaves it out of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Him.
Right.
But inside of the movie Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Him, we see him interacting with the Zowu, and the way in which he tames it is by holding out
Yeah.
a little stick
A little stick.
and giving it a little jingle.
Give it a little shake.
And so
Goes
it's
right
like,
for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like the idea that this is the methodology for summoning the night bus, I feel like doubles down so much on this idea that it's
Yeah.
like you hold it out, you give it a little
Hold it
jiggle,
out.
there you go.
There you go.
The night
Pops
bus
right
like,
to you.
Yo, what up?
I feel like it also helps explain, if it's a transformed Zowu, why the night bus can teleport but also has to drive. Right?
Sure.
Like, if the bus can teleport, why does it need to drive?
Yes.
Why aren't you just there?
Well, and even that is sort of fascinating. We're going to come to it here in just a second from Stan Shumpike, because he like tells them where they were.
Yeah.
Like, where are we? Somewhere in Wales. It's like, that's where we were when you hailed us. And it's like how, if you can just magically appear anywhere else to pick up your passenger, then it doesn't really seem like driving is all of that essential.
Can't you just magically appear where they need to go?
Yes, yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's like this middle ground area doesn't feel wholly necessary, unless there are limitations to the magic, and the limitations are rooted to the beast.
Yeah,
inside.
exactly. It would also explain why there's only just the one night
Right.
bus and not like a lead. Because otherwise you have one night bus for like the entire like great island of Great Britain.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like enough.
It seems a little too lacking. Which otherwise, fun fact is that there are actual night buses in London. Yeah, that like
just
patrol in the middle of the
NIGHT.
night. So
Yeah.
Spelled
So
differently.
that's the play on words there. And then it's also spelled with the K. It's supposed to be like a knight in shining armor that rescues the stranded wizard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So,
Very
in case
clever.
you didn't know that. So there you go. So anyway, Harry throws out his arm and bang, the night bus shows up. Leads to just one of the best interactions ever between Stan and Harry.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely love it. I do love that Stan steps out and immediately says, "Welcome to the night bus emergency transport for the stranded witch or wizard. Just stick out your wand hand, step on board. We can take you anywhere." It's like, yeah, clearly anyone who summoned you knows that. Like, you don't need to explain that.
Right. Yes, but maybe it's part of the shtick.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
it does. I think that like he says this like proudly, and it's like I'm like, man, Stan really does have he's rather pleased with his position here on the night bus.
Oh yeah, he's very proud of it.
Yeah, which is also kind of interesting because like it says close up he saw that Stan Shunpike was only a few years older than he was, 18 or 19 at most. This is sort of interesting because it almost means that if Stan went to Hogwarts, then they would have been at school together.
I know. It's like either he's like actually like 20 and missed Harry by a year,
right?
Or if he's 18 or 19, then he was just at school with Harry. And you might be like, well, would he even notice Harry? And it's like, yeah, everyone noticed Harry.
He would definitely notice
Harry.
Harry.
Would notice him.
Yeah.
It's like he would recognize him for sure, which otherwise means that he just didn't go to Hogwarts.
Right.
He's just like a wizard.
So maybe he just
like
picked up,
homeschooling or something.
picked up the bus trade school.
Just pick up that bus. Yeah.
Route.
Went to bus school.
Bus school?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it look like he went to bus school?
Is that How I Met Your Mother joke?
It was. You were supposed to say, it did.
It did, now that you mention it. Oh, man. So Harry falls down upon the night bus showing up, and Stan can't believe it.
You fell over for.
You fell over. Didn't do it on purpose.
So the fun fact here is that when we went to Universal, they of course have the night bus out there, and there's a Stan Shunpike who like mans the station. And I was like, "Can I ask you if we can do a thing?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay." I was like, "I'm gonna lay on the ground,
Yeah.
and you're gonna
And
say,
you're going to say a thing.
you fell over for." And then
He was a
he
good
was
sport.
really confused. He was like, "Okay."
Okay. But then we did like a movie meetup for that one, so there was just a bunch of other SCB people around in the park that day.
So they all
kept coming up to Stan that day, asking him to do this same bit.
He's like,
"Why do people keep asking me this?"
"I am definitely being punked."
Yeah, that was kind of funny. Harry, tries to collect his bearings, remembers that he saw Sirius, or a big black thing, like a dog, but massive. Do you know what kind of dog Sirius is?
He, in the movies, I believe he's an Irish wolfhound.
Yeah,
Is
they're
that correct?
big.
Does anybody fact check? Yeah.
I can't believe they never bring up the breed in the books, but I think that must just be the actual breed.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, because they're quite
huge.
quite big dogs.
Yeah. Big dogs. So Harry, not keen to give his position away to the Ministry of Magic for fear of being arrested for casting Lumos, lies to Stan. Yeah, right. What are you here for? Like, oh, I tortured the Longbottoms. I turned on a flashlight. Word. Yeah.
Jail for life.
Jail, straight to jail. Yeah. Right. So, but Harry lies about who he is and says he's Neville, which, I mean, it's kind of interesting that he chooses Neville of all people. It's like the other possible chosen one.
The other candidate,
Yeah,
really,
the
yeah.
other
So
candidate.
it is kind of funny that is the name that he immediately jumps for, because it like in a different universe, Neville's name is the one. Like maybe in a different universe, Neville is like saying Harry Potter in this moment.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes. What if Neville was the chosen one?
What if? I know. Yeah.
What
if
if?
only somebody on the internet would make a really lengthy series about that.
If only. If only.
Please.
He probably
subscribe.
becomes best friends with Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how special.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Neville now on the bus, but I actually do think it's funny because just before he says Neville, Stan does say, "What's that on your head?" And that's like, it's like Stan does seem to mark him and is kind of like, "Hey, wait a second."
Yeah. Well, even when he finally figures out it is Harry, he's like, "I knew it."
I know. Yeah,
knew
yeah.
it.
But he commits to the Neville bit like so well.
Right. He's
You know,
like, I'm pretty sure that's Harry Potter, but he said he was Neville,
he's
so
we're sticking with it.
we're going with it. The customer's always right. Good for you, Stan.
Yeah.
All right.
You can only learn that in bus school.
Yeah. that's what they teach you at bus school.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. So Stan doing his thing, gives him the pitch, upsells him on the hot chocolate and I guess the toothbrush.
Yep.
Yeah.
What color do you think he goes for?
Harry, red?
Red.
Yeah, like Gryffindor.
Oh,
Scarlet.
Yeah. I was thinking green, like his
Yeah,
eyes.
like his eyes, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, red.
Possible.
Red's fine. That's
Possible.
an answer. Yeah.
You know, I'm sure a green toothbrush is really popular in the Gryffindor common room.
When you say it like that.
Yeah, it's good, right? There's a random little tiny like correction that happens in this chapter where if you like read the old ones, when Harry pays for them, he pays for it with gold, even though it only costs 15 sickles total. But in our present copies of the books, they've switched it to silver, so it's more like Harry pays appropriately.
I know, yeah. This is funny because so I listened to the story in addition to reading it each time via Jim Dale, and so as I was reading this through, I was like, wait a second, he said gold,
Yeah,
not
wait, what?
silver. Yeah, so one of those like little modification things. I do always kind of love those.
Oh, I
though.
know. It's like, change.
Change, yeah, and I also think that'll be so cool for people who bought the books early because
Yeah.
like you could. That's like a fun one to go through and like mark in your own copies and be like, I have a gold one.
Yeah. Right. Every time you get a new edition, just compare it to all of your old editions.
Yeah, exactly.
Figure out what they changed.
Word by word.
Word by word.
Or just continue to listen to this podcast because we'll do it for you.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. So Harry inspects the rest of it. Sees some other people are sleeping on the bus already. One guy is sleeping and says, no thanks. In his dreams says, not now, thanks. I'm pickling some slugs. Which I'm like, gross.
Yikes.
What on earth could that be useful for?
A delicious snack.
You want some pickled slugs?
Some pickled slugs sounds miserable.
Yeah.
Just about
It's not
any
good.
way you slice it.
Yeah. Or pickle it.
Or pickle it.
Yeah. He meets Ernie Prang, which is...
Who's the driver.
Who's the driver here. And then, bang, they're back off. So right off Privet Drive, back into Wales.
Yes,
Just right away.
back into Wales. One thing I want to say about this, though, is one of the decisions they made for the film is the inclusion of like the like kind of like shrunken head.
Oh, yeah.
Did anybody else find that to be odd? Like an odd choice?
Yeah.
Yeah. Take it away.
Take it away, Anne.
But
They
now we can
also-
say that.
They also make the reverse decision in the movies of making the bus transform around and stuff.
Oh,
so that
yes.
it doesn't hit stuff. Whereas in the books, the bus just barrels along wherever it wants, and stuff just jumps out of its way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
This
when
is like a kind of magic that is just never seen anywhere else.
Well-
And it's like, does it mean, because they're like driving along and like barns are jumping out of the way and
Yeah.
light posts and benches. And it's like, does that mean everything is kind of magical? Or does it mean that like the night bus has like a force field thing around it or something?
Or yeah, maybe magic is just like the Force, and it
yeah.
like lives in everything.
Exactly though.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Maybe that can be like the plot of the Harry Potter sequel series that I was pitching you in the back.
Yeah.
H.J. Potter.
H.J. Potter.
H.J. Potter.
Detective series.
Yeah, detective series. But he slowly learns how to summon the Force.
Just all wandless magic in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So Stan also explains that the reason Muggles don't notice the night bus at all is because they don't listen properly or look properly, which is just like, you know what? Give us some credit, right? I think we would notice the giant purple bus.
But how sad would it be
if we're just missing it. It's
It'd be sad.
It could have zipped through this room.
Just right now.
Right as we sit here.
I know.
And we all just jumped out of the way.
And we're like, that was weird.
That was
We
weird.
didn't even say it.
But we don't even
I
remember.
don't even remember it. Do you guys remember that? Well, it happened. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That guy gets it.
I know. That guy does get it. This is my constant concern with the Wizarding World, that I'm constantly discovering it and then they're just erasing it.
I know, that would be the worst.
That would be the worst.
That would be just a little bit sad.
Right.
So what I do think is also interesting about this as well is that it seems like the night bus doesn't really travel in a very linear fashion at all.
Doesn't need to.
They've got Madame Marsh on the bus.
Who shows up again later.
Yeah, that's
frequenter.
A frequenter of
Yeah.
the the night bus, where they are. I'm sure I'm going to butcher this. Abergavenny. Abergavenny. Was I close for the second time? Yeah, we'll take it. Thank you.
Abergavenny.
Yeah, of
There you
course.
go.
Rolls right off the tongue. But then the other two places that they go also start with the letter A, and they're not like perfectly in alphabetical order, but it's almost like, are we going with the A locations first?
It does
And then-
seem like it.
Yeah.
They don't even ask Harry where he's going until he's like the last person on the bus.
Yeah, maybe Stan just wants to hang with Neville.
Yeah, basically, right?
Did
I
we
mean-
just become best friends?
Yeah, it's like, all right, this Neville guy, he seems great.
He does talk to him and only him basically the whole time, despite the fact they've got.
I mean,
a full
Harry's like
load.
reading the paper over his shoulder. So, what's that?
What's that?
What's that? Sirius Black?
Who's that guy?
He was the Muggle News. Yeah, so thank goodness for Stan to like explain everything to Harry here. To Starry. My goodness, I can't talk at all. All right. Okay. Oh, there's an interesting line. So Harry sees the large photograph of the sunken-faced man with long matted hair, blinks slowly at Harry from the front page. He looked strangely familiar. And I really love that line because either it's talking about Harry seeing him on the Dursleys' TV, or it's Harry remembering him vaguely from like infancy. Oh, I know. That's what I think it is. I'm going with that.
That
Or yes, the other thing is he's looking at the eyes as well, and so it's the only part of him that looks alive, which is crazy because it's like he's seen Sirius. It's like that's the only part he's seen. It's like he's seen Sirius's eyes like twice in like the last 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In dog form and now in newsprint.
So the eyes.
The
That's
eyes
such a
could
good
be-
point.
yeah.
I love that. Okay.
know.
Okay. So yeah, I like to think that it's less. I mean, he does say that that's the man from the Muggle News, but I still like to think that this is more of like Harry registering him like on a different level.
Yeah.
But then the other more like obvious version of it was the Muggle News.
Right.
Then we finally get mention first and last name of Sirius Black, which
Yes.
this is kind of an interesting point because in Chapter 1, when they're watching the Muggle News, it just says that Black is like abroad and believed to be highly dangerous, but we don't get the full name Sirius Black, which like if you're reading these books in real time, like that's like one of those things where we don't quite know how much like continuity there's going to be,
Right.
or the fact that this is a character's name we've already seen on page before. So like I would be really fascinated to know like if any eagle-eyed viewers back in like, the year 2000 or whatever was like, wait a second,
Sirius Black.
yeah, because it would have been Chapter 1, Philosopher's
Yeah.
Stone, since we've last seen it.
Right, yeah. At
Yeah.
that point, you're not like taking it too seriously. There's
Right.
so many new things to learn about.
Right, but
Yeah.
that would be a detail that would then lead you to be
well,
like,
it's the same trick that's used in the last book where you learn like Tom Marvolo Riddle's full name, but only in pieces and far apart. You never see it all written together.
right.
Yeah.
Lest your mind start to like
Yeah,
de-scramble.
to be like, wait a second, there's a lot of Voldemort sounds in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's interesting then, though, so Harry finally gets like a big exposition dump. Black still at large. Sirius Black, possibly the most infamous prisoner ever to be held at Azkaban Fortress. It's like, this is a detail where it's kind of odd about why, like, I mean, Sirius is believed to have, with one spell, blown up a city block, 12 muggles, and a wizard.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that is pretty horrendous
Yep.
to be associated with, for sure. But, like, also, like, before that, though, he was otherwise a excellent student in school who was
Right.
highly popular and well liked. He's always been like a good guy and like friends to other people, especially like specifically friends to the Potters.
Yeah.
So it's almost like curious to me if any amount of like the turn against him or even the lack of information is like the ministry very specifically trying to like drum up the associated danger, because otherwise like Bellatrix, Barty Crouch Jr., Dolohov, like there are plenty of other Death Eaters who are in Azkaban who seem like they have a much worse track record.
Who would have been like maybe like well-known Death Eaters because their like reign of terror would have been public the whole time.
Right. Like Sirius is
like
involved.
Sirius, like his identity as a Death Eater would have come out the same day or the day after Voldemort fell.
Right.
For one crime. I guess people. I don't even know. It doesn't seem like people know he betrayed the Potters, per se. You know?
I guess maybe
because there's
not,
that whole story later on, and like Rosmerta doesn't know about it.
But Fudge does.
Well, Fudge does, but he was there. He was there, part of the arresting team that gets Sirius.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
So.
Okay. So, anyway, though, so now we're starting to get like a bit more information about what's going on. We learned that Fudge has been criticized by some members of the International Federation of Warlocks for informing the Muggle Prime Minister of the crisis, which is just a kind of an interesting detail because I think at the beginning of Half-Blood Prince, we get like called back to that because we have like the other minister chapter.
You do get that. But what's interesting too is that it says the International Federation of Warlocks, but like I believe that is the same organization as the International Federation of Wizards.
Okay.
Right? And the chief Wizenmagot of said organization
is supposed to be Dumbledore.
Is Dumbledore.
Yeah.
So does that mean Dumbledore is the one criticizing him for doing this?
That's
because they're not on great terms much after this.
Yeah, they're not so much. I don't hate it.
Just saying, it's right there, But that also seems like a weird move for Dumbledore.
That's what
as Dumbledore is under the impression that Sirius is guilty and dangerous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. So then we're learning a little bit more about what's going on. What the Muggles have been told. I think it's just kind of like a funny description, but it said, while Muggles have been told that Black is carrying a gun, a kind of metal wand that Muggles use to kill each other.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
The other thing, though, this is another one. He says, I have the Prime Minister's assurance that he will not breathe a word of Black's true identity to anyone. And let's face it, who'd believe him if he did? Which I'm like, what do you mean? Isn't your whole job making sure people don't find out about magic?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Who'd believe him? It's like, you guys, your number one policy is the statute of secrecy.
Right.
It is a constant problem for everyone.
Right. If you don't think people would believe magic, you're like, no one can ever find out. It's like, yeah, but we can do it in front of them. They won't even believe it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It'll be fine.
They're determined that it's not real.
Right.
That's sort of just a funny. It's just Fudge flustering around as usual. But he does actually say that to the Prime Minister. I think he says or when he first meets him, he's like, "Wait, you're a wizard? What are you doing?" And he's like, "Are you?" He's not concerned that the Prime Minister is going to tell anyone about wizards at all. He's like, "Are you going to tell anyone about this?"
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So it's that is what he said to him. It's kind of like a fun little callback as well.
It is.
Yep. Let's see. Then this is where Harry looks into the shadowed eyes of Sirius Black, which again is for the second time in 10 minutes. Let's see. I think this is a random thing. It says Harry had never met a vampire, but had seen pictures of them in his Defense Against the Dark Arts classes, which I'm like, do you mean Voyages with vampires? Did you read the book?
Was Harry reading Lockhart?
Harry was reading Lockhart.
Well, I'll be.
There it is.
Turns out he was a little bit of a fan after
Turns
all.
out, yeah, he did it. He did it. Come on. We know what vampire book you have, Harry.
When Harry's at school, he pulls out Lumos under the covers and he's reading Lockhart's tales.
I know. He's just boy, I know it wasn't him, but these are
This
crazy.
is
These
good.
are really good
This
stories.
is good stuff.
Who was this guy?
Yeah. I love that.
Oh man, that's super fun. Boy, then so Stan continues to fill him in with all of the incorrect gossip. That Black was a big supporter of you-know-who. Harry slips and says Voldemort. Everyone almost freaks out and crashes into a barn. Yeah, you had your tree. Oh, boy.
You out of your tree.
Yeah.
Yup, Stan. What'd you say his name for? Sorry, said Harry hastily. Sorry, I forgot. Forgot!
Oh man! And then you get the description of the crime, where you learn about the crazy laughing that Sirius does after the Ministry takes him, and you're supposed to think he's lost his mind and just gone crazy, and it's I guess what he's laughing about. What do you think he's laughing about? I guess that
I I mean, it always comes across as like very intentionally misleading, so that it's like it seems like he's just like a lunatic,
Right? Yeah.
like
He just killed all these people, and it's like,
yeah.
yeah.
The I don't know. I always do. This is always like one of those things. It's like, why would he laugh? Is it just like he's just so absolutely upset at the loss?
To me, he is just like he's laughing at himself at how much Peter has hoodwinked him.
Okay.
That he is just like, oh my gosh, like
you got me.
you got me. It was me. I messed up. I trusted you. I shouldn't have done it. It's the hilarity of it all. I guess he's a little bit going. Maybe it is a little craziness, but
Right. I mean, that's the thing is that it's like maybe in that moment it's like he is losing it.
Yeah.
I mean, because his whole world just came unraveled.
right, yeah.
So
To him, yeah, it was definitely his own fault. But this is also, so when Stan is telling him, though, he says, Black took out his wand and he blasted half the street apart, and a wizard got it, and so did a dozen muggles. And the wizard got it. That is the first mention of Pettigrew outside of Scabbers.
Right. So that's the
all.
real question. Is there any version of reading this story where you're like, wait a second, a wizard was there?
Right. Yeah.
Who was he dueling?
Yeah, I know. Who did anyone read that the first time when they're like, that's going to be important?
Right.
That guy, whoever that
guy.
was, we
Right.
need to figure that out.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, you'd have to be so dialed in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to jump back here as well.
Okay, what do you got?
The description of Sirius as the most infamous prisoner ever to be held in Azkaban Fortress. This is just not about Sirius, and I guess that's true, but why isn't Grindelwald held at Azkaban Fortress, Why does he get a separate prison just for himself with no Dementors?
Especially a prison that he built.
Especially a prison that he built for other people.
Dumbledore, Jay.
Dumbledore. Yeah.
Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Had to be.
That's all.
What else could it be?
I know. Never been a breakout from Azkaban before. Fudge is going to go ahead and make some contradictory statements about this later on. He's going to be like, oh, the Azkaban guards have never failed before. And at what? At what? Catching escaped prisoners? I thought that never happened before.
It's like, I thought this is,
Yeah.
If they've never failed, it's because they've never tried.
Right, yeah. It sounds like they failed pretty hard right now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then this is also when we start this is where Stan and Ern first mention the Azkaban guards.
Yes.
Where we're like, well, they'll be the Dementors will be called Azkaban guards right up until they're called Dementors, and then never again.
And then always Dementors.
And then
forever
always
and ever.
Dementors from there on out. Yeah. So that's always I don't know why everyone wouldn't just say Dementors the whole time.
Yeah, right. It's like it's not like the name reveal is sort of like a giant momentous occasion because we've never heard the word before.
Right.
So it's not like those are Dementors and we're all like,
oh, it's like maybe
way.
the name makes them sound so immediately evil that you should be like, it's like maybe another hint right away that Sirius isn't going to be the bad guy here.
Right.
I wonder who's bad, the Sirius Black or the Dementors.
the Dementors.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like Demented.
It sounds like Demented. Yeah,
Yeah.
they sound pretty rough.
Right.
Of course, even after they're introduced, you're like, yep, okay, cool, they got to get him. I hope they get him.
Yeah. But yeah, then when Harry is then learning more about Azkaban prison, it brings up the fact that Hagrid, the Hogwarts gamekeeper, had spent 2 months there only last year. This is kind of like an interesting, another little nod because similar to Sirius, Hagrid is also innocent of the crime that he is accused. Mm-hmm. So that could be another little nod to sort of being kept incorrectly.
Yeah. Yep. All sorts of little setups happening here.
Yes.
I love how it says, after a while, Stan remembered that Harry had paid for the hot chocolate. Just oh, there you go. Harry did it. He totally got upsold on the hot chocolate.
He totally did.
Yeah. I feel like he just handed himself and Stan's like, great, cool. You want that toothbrush? I'm on it, dude. I'll get that later. Here's the hot chocolate, which then he pours it all over Harry's pillow. I guess he can't lay down.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Too
That's
bad. Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Nothing would be more surprising if Harry was like, well, what a fantastic turn of events. I guess I'll take a nap.
I guess I got my hot chocolate. I'm so
My
cozy.
hot chocolate. This was great.
I'm on a bus that's rocketing through the countryside.
I know. They'll never find me now. Oh, man. Let's see. I also think it's funny that not a single other person gets on the bus. It seems like wizard after wizard gets off the bus, all in dressing gowns and slippers. How many people were just out in their pajamas?
Traveling the night bus by night.
Yeah, needing the night bus here.
I know. Although I will say this is how it feels like every single time I get in line for anything ever. It's I'll get in line and then it's nobody gets in line behind me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is up with that?
I know. It's
was I the last one here?
Right.
There's 40 people in this line.
And I'm in last.
And no one else. Yeah. What's happening? Yeah, so no one else gets on. So finally, Harry is the last passenger left. And finally, they're like, oh, yeah, where are you going? Leaky Cauldron, got it. That's the other thing. All these people get off, not a single other person was going to London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That also seems odd.
Yeah, also does seem odd.
Popular place to go.
Does seem.
But so they do finally arrive, and sure enough, waiting for Harry at the Leaky Cauldron, kind of luckily, in fact, is Cornelius Fudge. There you are, Harry, said a voice. And he basically comes forward, and then Stan is sort of like, "What'd you call Neville, Minister?" he said excitedly. "Neville," he repeated, frowning. This is Harry Potter." Yeah. "I knew it," Stan shouted gleefully. Ern, guess who Neville is? He's Harry Potter. I can see his scar." It's like he is still calling him Neville.
I know. Even now, he also has just like no preamble about us like approaching like the president of magic.
Right.
Like, what you call him? You said the wrong name. Like your first words to the minister are correcting him.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, this is Neville Longbottom, actually. It's like, no, it's not, sir. Let's see. I don't know why. He says, Fudge says, "I'm very glad the night bus picked Harry up." And I'm like, I don't know why it seems weird to me that Fudge even knows about the night bus. But I don't know. I guess he does. Clearly, is it like a government service? Or
no, it doesn't feel like it. I mean,
Yeah,
bus school, Jay. It's got its own ecosystem.
I know, right?
But it doesn't seem like Fudge would travel by such methodology.
No, it does not. But let's see. Then we get inside the bar. We got Tom, the barman, which I highlighted Tom, the barman, because I know this comes up later. Just where like. It's so interesting that Tom's like he's like the first person Harry sees inside of the Wizarding World at all.
Yes.
And it's like that must have been such a plant because it is like one of Voldemort's like peeves.
Yes.
That he's just like there's a lot of Toms.
There's a lot,
like
right at the front door
I know, right.
to wizard life.
Exactly, the front door to wizard life. Because it's the first person he meets outside of Dumbledore too. Dumbledore's like, "Go to the Leaky Cauldron. There'll be a man named Tom," and he's like, "What?" No.
I'm changing my name.
Yeah, come on. I've been in this world for 3 seconds, and there's another. I know 3 wizards now: Tom, Albus, and Tom. Yeah.
Oh, poor Tom.
Well,
Actually, not really.
not really. Not really. Meanwhile, Stan cannot let it go. How come you didn't tell us who you are, Neville? Like, dude, so nosy. Still calling him Neville.
He does it one more time.
He does it again. Yeah.
Harry sort of has like an awkward like, "Bye."
Yeah.
"Bye, Neville," called Stan.
Bye, Neville.
Oh boy.
Oh, Stan.
I love the commitment. But that is what makes me think, he must have been really dialed in there.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So then once we're inside, we're going to have like a very different kind. Cornelius Fudge will introduce himself, and he's clearly taking like quite the different tact. Like he definitely is very worried about Harry, which of course is not really what Harry expects.
Right.
And is really not how the Ministry handles things in the future as well.
No, yeah.
So which is much more.
Nor how they've handled things in the past.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a rather unique circumstance, which could be another one of those things that would sort of like start to lead you down the path that because he even says like given the certain circumstances, the present climate.
Present climate.
Yeah, like that's clearly impacting things, which kind of lets you know that like okay, something to do with Sirius being escaped has something to do with Harry in particular.
Yeah. It's kind of funny too. He says, "I don't mind telling you, running away from your aunt and uncle's house like that. I'd started to think, but you're safe." But it's like clearly what he'd started to think was that Sirius found him, and it's like, well. He did.
He did.
Yeah.
He was right
You were
there.
right. Also, boy, I'd be so mad if I was Harry. Well, I mean, I guess he gets clear to the crime, but like Fudge, like he says, "Don't worry, we punctured your aunt," which seems like the funny way to get the air out of her. Like you can't just magically just be like, "Let's just go ahead and deflate you." They're like that guy to like.
yeah. It's like, but you guys are wizards, but we also have a large safety pin.
Yeah, exactly. That makes it so much better. But then he says her memory has been modified. She has no recollection of the incident at all. So that's that. No harm done. And then one sentence later, he's like, "You're worrying about the reaction of your aunt and uncle. Well, I won't deny they're extremely angry." Like, well, why couldn't you erase their memory too?
You were already there.
Like, you were there.
No second trip necessary.
No second trip. Like, come on. Like, I'd be like, you couldn't. You just wipe it. Just Come on.
Yeah.
That would make it a lot easier for me.
Yes. Yeah. Also, I'm kind of bummed that Aunt Marge doesn't know that this happened to her.
Oh, I know.
You
Yeah.
know?
She's like, why do I have this giant safety pin? Where did this come from?
Okay, maybe I don't hate that now. She's
Yeah.
just confused for the rest
Just
of her life.
confused. Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know.
But so then, basically, then as we start moving forward, Fudge is basically like, now that all that remains is figuring out where you're going to spend the last 3 weeks of your vacation. This is another one of those moments where it is normally 2 weeks of
Yeah.
your vacation, but I
Older
think
copies of the book will say 2.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, it actually is kind of interesting because when you go back and look at the timing, it's like Harry's birthday and then Aunt Marge arrives the next day and is there for 1 week. And we know we go back to Hogwarts on September 1st. So like we were missing a week. So
week,
the
yeah.
correction is correct.
It is accurate. Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yep. Yeah.
It would be worse if the correction was wrong.
Yeah. Also, yeah. It would be like inaccurate.
Inaccurate.
Put it down. So Fudge is explaining all this to him, and Harry just pulls just the most random thing. Hang on, what about my punishment? It's like, well, gee, don't forget to ask about extra homework either, Harry.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on, man. Like, let it go.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Fudge is like, we're just going to let that go.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah. We don't send people to Azkaban just for blowing up their aunts.
Only for crashing puddings.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Especially if you didn't do it.
Especially if you didn't do it. Exactly. Yeah. Let's see. So he starts explaining all of that to him about the pudding and everything. I guess it's sort of weird where like Harry eventually asks him if he's had any luck tracking down Black, and Fudge is like, "Oh, you've heard about that, have you?" It's like, yes. He seems really confused that Harry would have heard about it, even though he knows it was on the Muggle news because he did it.
Right.
And like every wizard knows about it. So,
Yes, it is everywhere.
Yeah.
How would we not know?
How would he not know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So surprising that he's surprised
Right.
by that. He says, "This is the." Yeah, it is surprising to me that. Oh, okay. So Harry has the bright idea to be like, "Oh, while you're handing out favors, would you mind signing my permission slip to go to Hogsmeade?" And
Rules are rules.
rules are rules.
We can't just go
can't
breaking
do
and
it.
bending
I
them.
know. This is the most like Fudge, hypocritical, just blustering thing ever. He's just like, no, I'm sorry.
It's almost like he doesn't have a plan.
It's like he doesn't have a plan. Rules are rules. I can't let you go visiting the village. In the meantime, if you'd like to stay by yourself in this village for 3 weeks, as long as you promise not to wander into the Muggle world.
Yeah. Yeah. You're probably safest at the most central place in all of the wizarding world.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to be needing your school supplies, right? This Hogwarts starts on the same day every year. Sirius Black knows that. Cool.
Right, yeah.
Right.
There's no way he'll be able to put 2 and 2 together.
No way he
Yeah.
can figure that out. Should we Dementors here? Nah.
We'll wait till the train.
Yeah. We'll wait till the train. The train picks you up. That's where he's going to strike.
Right,
Not
right.
leading up to that.
We also, no warning about those either at all. They're just gonna like stop the
They're
train.
just gonna show up,
halfway,
yeah,
Be
yeah.
super scary.
It is going to be bad. Yeah.
Let me tell you what you're gonna experience.
Yeah. Yep. It's going to be good. So, yeah, Fudge, just so hypocritical here. Rules are rules. Except the other ones I just meant for you.
Yes.
It's fine. It's good. Oh, my goodness.
But they go in the room. I do like the fact that Hedwig is waiting for Harry
Yes.
there. So it's like there is like a friendly face, and Tom does say, "Very smart owl you've got there," which of course we know because
Yes.
Hedwig is the best.
Hedwig's had a great 3 chapters. She also like showed up at Hermione's just to make sure Harry got a birthday gift.
Yeah.
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 Hedwig is looking out.
Yeah. Hedwig's doing some good stuff here.
R.I.P.
Very nice. Wow.
Mood
Jeez, Ben.
killer.
Mood killer. Come on, man.
I'm sorry.
But though Harry finally gets into his room, number 11 at the Leaky Cauldron, says it's been a very weird night, Hedwig, and then without even removing his glasses, slumped back onto his pillow and fell asleep.
Boom.
Boom. There you go. End of chapter.
End of chapter.
He did it. It is such a crazy chapter. We have had other, what's the other big one? There's a big what if in this chapter. I think it was our first what if ever.
It was, yeah.
It was.
What
It was
if Sirius had just revealed himself?
What if the night bus doesn't show up?
Yeah.
Like, how does that change the chapter?
It's rather significant because I think
the story.
One of the biggest things we've like dialed in on whenever we do the what ifs is like Peter Pettigrew escaping is like one of the most important things that happens.
Yeah.
And that all happens because of like the newspaper clipping, and there's like
Right.
all these like really bizarre like little things. But yeah, it's like you could really change the whole trajectory of the plot massively. Because then it's even like, can somebody just explain it? Is Sirius just free? Can Harry go live with him?
Could he just go? Could he go? It makes you wonder like if they were able to explain it and he was able to get to the Weasleys and be like, that rat right there.
Sirius just kills him.
Sirius, yeah. But I don't even think he would because like Harry could be like, no, because then we can't like prove. Right.
Yeah.
But like it'd be such a tricky situation because like obviously he can't bring Sirius to the Weasleys because they're going to be like, whoa, that guy.
Yes.
Not good. But he also can't bring Sirius to the Weasleys because then Peter's going to be like, oh God.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. But then once Harry's at the Weasleys, the Ministry is going to be like, whoa, let's get some Dementors here,
Yeah.
Unless, Diagon Alley, I guess I thought that was fine. So maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But then that's bad news for Sirius. So it's like, how do we get all the people in the right place at the right time? Yeah.
So many weird little moving parts.
So many weird little moving parts.
It's a really big one. So the story could have changed rather drastically if it hadn't been so lucky for that Zowu acting on Night Bus instincts.
I know, right? Yeah. Whew, boy, that Curb, really the hero.
It is. MVP of the chapter, really.
Right, yeah.
The Curb.
The Curb.
The Curb.
There it is.
Well done, Curb. All right,
doubt.
Jay, do you have a review for us?
You know what? I don't think I do at the moment.
Okay, maybe we can see if the audience will make some noise for us, and that can be our review.
Oh man,
Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
Yeah,
Sure.
do we like that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, guys. Leave us. Can we get a review on 3? All right, 1, 2, 3.
Stars? Yeah.
Can we
5
call that
stars,
5? Call that 5. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys so much. That was so much fun.
Awesome.
And we're not done.
We're not. Well, hold on. We'll close out the podcast real quick here.
Oh yeah. Sorry. We have words left to say.
We have other things to say. Yeah. Hold on. So thank you guys all so much for joining us for Chapter 3 of Prisoner of Azkaban: The Night Bus. Make sure you tune in next week for Chapter 4, The Leaky Cauldron, on Through the Griffin Door. Bam.
Okay.
And we're out.
Today's episode was edited by Ethan Edgehill. Vaishon Brandon does our art. Catherine Stein is our production manager, and the show is hosted by me and Jonathan Carlin.